Chapter 284. While Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan were happily chatting with the old man, Steward Zhong was not happy at all. When Steward Zhong knew that the young master wanted him to go to the Chen family's zhuangzi to talk about something, he hurriedly ate some food and rushed over. When he arrived, he saw that the small river leading to the Yuan family's zhuangzi was blocked. He filled some sacks with sand and threw them at the source of the water. Seeing that the river did not flow there, Steward Zhong became anxious. The spring plowing had begun, and they were all paddy fields. Without water, what were they going to plant? He quickly knocked on the door of the Chen family's zhuangzi. The Chen family's zhuangzi did not have any official position and was only a businessman. Just looking at the tall door, Steward Zhong could feel the aura of gold and silver. As the door was pulled open from the inside, a head popped out from the crack and looked around. Finally, his eyes stopped on Steward Zhong and asked, "What are you doing here? Which one are you looking for?" "Little brother, I am the housekeeper of Zhongjia Zhuangzi of Tuqiao village. I want to discuss something with your master. Please help me pass on the message." Steward Zhong puffed out his chest and said to the person behind the door, "Tuqiao village? Which village? Zhongjia Zhuangzi? I don't know. Master is busy and has no time. Come back tomorrow." The gatekeeper threw down these words and closed the door with a bang. Steward Zhong was stunned. He looked at the closed door and did not react for a long time. He did not know the Zhongjia Zhuangzi of Tuqiao village. Who would believe that? It's not like it's far away. Don't you know whose water is blocked by your house? After hesitating for a moment, Steward Zhong took out 20 copper coins from his sleeve pocket and counted them in his hand. He went to knock on the door again. After a few knocks, the door was opened from the inside again. The same head popped out and looked at Steward Zhong. "What's wrong with you? I told you that master is busy. Why are you still knocking? If you have the time, you should think about what to do. You're an adult and don't know how to behave." As he spoke, he was about to close the door again. Steward Zhong quickly said, "Little brother, I do have something to discuss with your master. This money is for you to buy a cup of tea," Steward Zhong said as he handed the money over. The gatekeeper's eyes suddenly widened and his expression changed. He took the money and said, "Oh, so it's Steward Zhong from Zhongjia Zhuangzi of Tuqiao village. Look at me, I'm confused. Wait a moment, I'll go in and report." The gatekeeper turned around and ran inside as quickly as he closed the door. Steward Zhong could hear the footsteps. He curled his lips and muttered, "This is the kind of gatekeeper. Just wait and see. Don't expect to make a fortune. If the gatekeeper of Zhongjia Zhuangzi dares to do this, I'll break his leg." After waiting for a while, he heard the footsteps inside. Then the door was opened and a person came out. He looked at Steward Zhong and they looked at each other. Steward Zhong said first, "Are you the head of the Chen family?" "I'm the housekeeper of the Chen family. Master is busy and can't come out. If you have something to say, just say it." The person who came out didn't mean to let Steward Zhong in. He blocked the door and said. Steward Zhong felt uncomfortable. What was this? He didn't even have the basic etiquette. Could it be that he couldn't even afford a cup of tea? Suppressing the unhappiness in his heart, Steward Zhong pointed behind him. It was the place where the river was and said, "It's spring, so we need some water. I didn't know that the river was connected to your village. After it broke, I came to check and found out. I hope that your village can move that thing away for the sake of your neighbor. In the future, the Zhong family will be very grateful." "What river?" "Oh, the ditch that the Yuan family used to connect to." "Aya, this is difficult. There isn't enough rain this year. We don't know if we have enough water in our fields. If we dig up the ditch, what will happen to our village? Why don't Steward Zhong go back and think of other ways?" "Ah, I can't help you here." Housekeeper Chen didn't have any expression on his face when he spoke. He directly refused to give water. Steward Zhong naturally didn't believe him. What lack of rain? How could he not know how much water there was on the other side of the river? Otherwise, why would he expand the river? He thought in his heart but couldn't say it out loud. "Housekeeper Chen, let's not talk about the rain first. Zhongjia Zhuangzi is willing to pay. Let's give you 100 copper coins for one day. Is that okay? Hearing Steward Zhong's words, housekeeper Chen turned his head and looked to the side. He didn't say anything. 150 copper coins a day. What do you think? Steward Zhong added more money. There was a lot of land there. 150 copper coins wasn't a lot. Housekeeper Chen still didn't say anything. Steward Zhong had to raise the price again. 200 copper coins a day. If it's more, we might as well dig a well. At this time, housekeeper Chen said, digging a well is good. It's convenient to use water. Even if there isn't enough rain, we don't have to worry. Steward Zhong's idea is good. If we lack manpower to dig a well, the Zhuangzi of the Chen family can send people over to help. The daily wages can be given as usual. As for food, I think Zhangjia Zhuangzi will give the villagers the same as usual. Steward Zhong knew that housekeeper Chen wouldn't agree. He thought about it and tried again. Housekeeper Chen, in the future, the Zhuangzi of the Zhong and Chen families will be connected. Who doesn't have difficulties? At that time, if the Chen family is in trouble, the Zhong family won't stand by and do nothing. Don't. If the Chen family is in trouble, your Zhong family must stand by and do nothing. Don't get involved with the Chen family. The Chen family isn't as capable as the Yuan and Han families. They can't afford to compensate, and they can't find people to go to the capital to mediate. Zhangjia Zhuangzi, just let the Chen family go. Tomorrow, get someone to plant some thorns between the two Zhuangzi. In the future, the Zhuangzi won't be connected. Housekeeper Chen sneered. As he spoke, he cupped his hands to Steward Zhong. Steward Zhong understood that the Chen family's Zhuangzi was either related to the two Zhuangzi, or they were doing this on purpose. Isn't the Zhong family powerful? If I ignore you, I'll show you who's more powerful. Other than these two reasons, housekeeper Zhong couldn't think of any other reason. If it was Zhangjia Zhuangzi who harmed the Han and Yuan families, as long as one wasn't a fool, one would know that it was wrong. It was the Han and Yuan families who harmed them. Steward Zhong lowered his head and thought for a while. Just as he raised his head and was about to speak, he saw that housekeeper Chen had already turned around and went back in. The door was closed with a bang. Steward Zhong stood at the door for a while. In the end, he couldn't do anything. He sighed helplessly, turned around, and went back to talk to the young master and see what he would do. When Steward Zhong dejectedly returned to between the clouds and the water, Zhong Xiaobao and the other children were learning from the old man. As they were learning, they saw Steward Zhong coming over. The old man also saw the expression on Steward Zhong's face and stopped talking. Steward Zhong, what's wrong? Is it that no matter what we say, they won't give us any water? Tell us what you said, everyone listen. Don't worry. When Zhong Xiaobao saw Steward Zhong's expression, he understood and comforted him. Steward Zhong sat down on the stool and told the young master everything that had happened, including what he thought, what he said, and what the other party was like. He didn't add anything that shouldn't be said. He knew that the young master didn't want to hear those things that had been changed. Oh, I see. They want to arm wrestle with my Zhong family. If they won't give us any water, then so be it. Why do they have to say those sarcastic words? They don't seem to have any relationship with the other two families, and it's the same with County Magistrate Wen. Otherwise, how would a merchant family dare to speak to Steward Zhong like that after the 3 people were arrested? Since that's the case, forget it. Spend more money and effort. Let's take the river from the Li family. Our land is higher, so we'll dig deeper. Let them plant thorns. If they want to plant them in their own land, so be it. We'll agree to let them plant half of it. In the future, we'll go our separate ways and mind our own business. Today, we've wronged Steward Zhong. Originally, the main family should help Steward Zhong, but this matter is too small. It's not worth it to become a life and death enemy. When there's a chance in the future, we'll definitely help Steward Zhong get back his dignity. After hearing what Steward Zhong said, Zhong Xiaobao pondered for a while and decided on this. There wasn't any deep hatred, so he couldn't use thunderous means immediately. If this continued, he would make more enemies in the future. With the young master's words, I won't feel wronged anymore. I believe that the young master will get back at me one day. Then I'll arrange for people to dig the canal now. When Steward Zhong heard the young master talk about his matter in private, he felt much better. It was only now. He had suffered less grievances in the past. If Zhuangzi couldn't do it, then what could he do? He could only endure. Wasn't this the job of a steward? To take the blame, and be wronged again. Zhong Xiaobao nodded and didn't say anything. He felt uncomfortable in his heart. Before beating a dog, one had to look at its master. The Chen family's Zhuangzi didn't give them any face at all. Steward Zhong's men were more than the Chen family's Zhuangzi. Don't do anything overboard. Don't offend me. Otherwise, I won't let your Chen family have an easy time. Zhong Xiaobao tapped his face with his hand as he pondered. Wang Huan saw this from the side and began to mourn for the Chen family. Zhong Xiaobao's personality had always been like this. An eye for an eye, an eye for an eye. Furthermore, his revenge was even more ruthless. If you slapped him, he would return the favor with a knife. The old man didn't want to care about this kind of thing. When he saw that Steward Zhong had left, he continued to talk. The old man was much more knowledgeable than Father Zhong, and the children who listened benefited greatly. Even his granddaughter, Xin could understand part of it. These days, Xin had been eating xiaoxian. She didn't want to be too far away from others. Zhong Xiaobao wasn't the kind of person who kept thinking about how to affect other things when he encountered something small. After Steward Zhong's matter was over, he put all his attention on his studies and didn't think about it at all. Chapter 285. Mountains and rivers were everywhere, and the moon was hazy in the merry manner. The lights were bright, and people were in a hurry. Before they slept, the fog was thick. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan accompanied the old man to have dinner in the evening. They went to Li Zun to get the money and asked people to transport it away. Then, they took the car to see the Zhuangzi who tore down the house. Before they arrived, they could hear the sounds of activity coming from the other side. There were the bold words of the people drinking and the laughter of children playing. The lanterns over there were lit, and they could see the tents propped up one after another. They could also see the shadows of people swaying there. The fog came early today. It was humid and uncomfortable before the sky was completely dark. At this moment, the fog was even thicker. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan's car was also lit with lanterns. There was also a small flag with a little seedling on it. This little seedling had eyes and was very cartoonish. Some even had hands and feet. There were several kinds of flags. Zhong Xiaobao's flag was a male seedling. Wang Huan's flag was a female seedling with a bow on her head. If Father Zhong went out, the seedling would wear a hat on her head. The Zhang Wong clan's flag was a hairpin. The Strong Seedling Protection Team's flag was a spade in the seedling's hand. Even Steward Zhong had his own flag. The seedling's flag was a ledger. The Zhong family didn't have anyone to take care of the ledger. Only the Zhang Wong clan was in charge of it. When they found an accountant in the future, they could assign someone to take care of the ledger. Zhuangzi couldn't do it in the past, so there was no need for someone to take care of the ledger. Now that they didn't have enough manpower, they were preparing to train people in the inner courtyard to take over. When that time came, Steward Zhong would have to change his flag. At this time, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan's flags were two seedlings holding hands. It was obvious that the little ancestors of the Zhong family and the Wang family were going out at the same time. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan didn't want to participate. Everyone was so happy. Now that two people from the main family came, the atmosphere immediately changed. The two of them just looked around. When they saw that there was nothing to do, they ordered the car to turn around and go back. After a short nap, the two of them got up to study again. The old man talked more than Zhong Xiaobao's father usually did, and he also talked more deeply. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan were already having a hard time learning, especially Zhong Xiaobao. He had a weak foundation and relied on the adult way of thinking to catch up. But he would never admit defeat, nor would he give up. He tried his best to remember, thinking that he would master the things that the old man taught him through a comprehensive study. At the same time, he also had to practice calligraphy. When others read an article, the first thing they looked at was the words. Just like chicken chop, Even a good article would be degraded. The two of them studied for almost 4 hours before they finally understood what they heard during the day. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan put down their pens at the same time and rubbed their wrists. Xiaobao, I asked you to get another 10,000 strings of cash. This time, we finally have more money. Otherwise, the river would be a little difficult. Are you planning to get this much? Wang Huan squeezed her sore eyes and asked Zhong Xiaobao. No, I plan to take over the 3 workshops and the 3 schools. They probably don't have any money on hand. Back then, they must have planned to come here to cheat once. Who would have thought that Li Zun would find us? In order to continue cheating, they had no choice but to agree to what Li Zun said and built 3 workshops for show. Zhong Xiaobao originally planned to have his own research department, but he didn't have time. Now that someone else had helped him, he could just occupy it. Wang Huan nodded. She still didn't fully understand. Xiaobao, do you know how they plan to cheat? This was Zhong Xiaobao's strength. This was what he studied. He said, it's simple. They originally had some money. After cooperating with Li Zun, they should directly start to build the dock. They don't need to finish building it. They just need to have a framework. This way, they can find more rich people to invest money. With Li Zun's identity, those who invested money were relieved. Who would have thought that they would dare to cheat Li Zun? This way, they raised a large sum of money. Look, the management is still in their hands. Li Zun just doesn't have enough for dividends, but he can give suggestions. That's why they built the workshop. It's for others to see. They wanted others to misunderstand that Li Zun had the authority to manage this place. Once they had invested enough money, they would build this shipyard and use the sea route to do business to attract more people to invest in this shipyard. This would allow them to build bigger ships. When all of this is successful, they will use the identity of the manager to sell the dock. Then they will take the money and run away. Look at the document they signed with Li Zun. It says that they can dispose of the dock, but they need to give the money to Li Zun. But if they run away, where can you find them? For example, they ran to Tubo and hid their identity. You can't send troops to look for them, right? Or they can run to a place further away. That's not right. If they run like that, how will they transport the money? Wang Huan raised her doubts. They can just say that they are going to buy things. Also, the people who bought the dock will come and look at it first. After looking at it, they will go elsewhere to write the document. Actually, it doesn't matter to them whether they write the document or not. The money from selling the dock can be sent to other places. If he wanted to do things more perfectly, he could first build some small boats. Then, after selling the boats, he would split the profits with the owners. This way, it would be faster to attract more people. In fact, the owners would even continue to invest as they saw the benefits. This kind of thing happens every year. Actually, it is illegal to raise money and then abscond with the money. It's a very simple plan, and many people are fooled. But when it comes to the operation, the details are slightly different, but it's still the same. Zhong Xiaobao explained this theory. You have done this before? Wang Huan noticed that Zhong Xiaobao is beside her, and she is relieved. She only saw the beginning, and she knows what is going on. Zhong Xiaobao arrogantly raised his chin. I don't want to use this kind of method. It's boring. TSK. You are still bragging. Actually, your method is very simple. I know all about it. Wang Huan pretended to be disdainful. Yes, you know that. But if I want to, I can lie to you like this. You will definitely fall for it again. This is just like fighting moves. There are only a few kinds of moves, and when combined together, the power will be different. You can't beat someone, and then you watch the replay of the video and think about it for a while. In the end, you still can't beat someone. Moves are dead, but people are alive. Zhong Xiaobao pinched Wang Huan's nose. After saying that, he did not want to shower and went straight to bed. He is exhausted today. Wang Huan also burrowed under her blanket. You can't lie to me. If I don't take advantage of you, what can you do to me? The next morning, after Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan had breakfast, they went to find the old man to learn something. The old man usually fishes for a while first. In Zhong Xiaobao's opinion, his fishing skills can only be considered mediocre. He has told him a few times, but he is still the same. After accompanying the old man to fish for a while, the others also came over and prepared to listen to the lecture. The old man has been very happy these days. The people he taught are all good, and his granddaughters are also better than the average person. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan are all good, and even the little girl Liu is extraordinary. This makes the old man feel a sense of achievement as a good teacher. After less than 2 hours of the lecture, Steward Zhong came over angrily. When the old man stopped, he said to Zhong Xiaobao, "Young master, the Chen family is too much." "What? Did they plant all the brambles on our side?" Zhong Xiaobao asked. "No, they planted all the brambles on their side. But not only did they plant them on the ground, they also planted them on the road. That is the original road of the Yuan family's Zhuangzi. They planted the brambles on the road and did not let that road lead to the other side. I don't know how they did it, but the title deed actually included the road as his houses. If we want to transport goods from here, it's too far. Moreover, there's a big market over there. If we want to sell things there, we can't go around in a big circle, right? Even if we take a detour, there is no road. A road that usually takes an hour will take at least 10 hours if we take a detour." I went to reason with them, but they still said the same thing. They don't want to have anything to do with Zhongjia Zhuangzi and asked us to be magnanimous. Steward Zhong began to complain. Zhong Xiaobao listened quietly. After listening to him, he suddenly smiled and said, "Now my conscience is at ease. Well, since they gave us such a good reason, if we don't use it, we'll be letting them down. Steward Zhong, come here, let me tell you." Zhong Xiaobao called Steward Zhong over. After some arrangements, Steward Zhong left happily. Zhong Xiaobao looked back at the old man and said, "If the heavens want to punish you, you can go against it. If you want to punish yourself, you can't live." Now Steward Zhong can vent his anger. People really can't compare to Zhuangzi of the Ge family. Ge Yingxi knows that cooperation is mutually beneficial. They actually want to use this kind of method to suppress the Zhong family. I want to see what kind of business they are doing. When I have time, I will ask someone to do it. You are full of bad ideas. That person could teach you anything, but why did he have to teach you this kind of thing? Follow me. The old man didn't ask what Steward Zhong was going to do. He would know when the time came. Looking at Zhong Xiaobao's righteous appearance while scheming against others, he shook his head. He was a little resentful of the person behind this. A good child, when it came to bad ideas, he could really draw inferences about other cases. After a while, when the old man was resting, Wang Huan pulled Zhong Xiaobao and asked, "What did you ask Steward Zhong to do?" "Nothing. Just what we talked about last time, changing the river's course. I didn't want to change it at first, because if I changed it, others wouldn't be able to get water. But once it was changed, the distance between our river and that of Grandfather Bai's nephew's river would be shortened. I had good intentions and wanted to be a good person. Unfortunately, they didn't give me the chance. Why do they always make things difficult for me?" Chapter 286. Steward Zhong walked out of the pavilion with a happy mood. He almost jumped out of the pavilion. Only the tips of his feet touched the ground. It was as if he had changed into a different person. The usually taciturn person was now beaming with joy and humming a tune that seemed to be out of tune. Steward Zhong was very happy. He knew that the young master was capable, but he didn't expect him to be so ruthless. No wonder the young master asked him to bear with it when he was wronged yesterday. It turned out that this idea was a little against the natural order. What about the Chen family's Zhuangzi? Why couldn't your Chen manor have done this at a better time? Why did you have to wait until there were so many people repairing the river? Then, you could have diverted some people and changed the river's course. It would have gone around a few hills there. They aren't big, just a few. But the water wouldn't be able to pass through, unless your Chen manor dug the hills. Steward Zhong seemed to feel that just thinking about it couldn't make him happy anymore. He muttered as he walked. When he reached the river, he directly found the person in charge of this matter and ordered, "Gather 1,000 people." Go there and dig the river. The young master said that we don't need to care about the other families. Just connect the river with the one the Zheng family is digging. We have to finish it within a day. It's only 6 miles in total. Go, go, go. When the person heard that it was the young master's order, he didn't dare to delay and immediately went to find people. After shouting a few times, about 1,300 people came over. The person in charge was about to ask for 1,000 people to stay when Steward Zhong spoke. That's all. Go and dig immediately. If you can't finish it in the day, continue at night. I'll give you good food and pay. But if you don't work hard, you don't have to work here. When these people heard that they would be paid, they became happy. They were supposed to do 20 days of volunteer work. Especially when they heard that there would be good food at night. Since Steward Zhong said so, it was definitely good food. He took the tools and walked over. Originally, this place had already been marked out, but Zhong Xiaobao did not want the water below to run out, so he changed it a little. Now, it was just right to use it. It was a kind of plant that was grown in a dry place, so there was no need to use so much water. With 1,300 to 1,400 people, they only managed to dig out 6 li of the river. They didn't need a large boat, so it was quite easy. Especially now that the snow had melted and spring had arrived, the ground was soft. With one shovel, they could dig out a large piece of the river. Steward Zhong watched them work and did not plan to go anywhere else. He just waited. When the river was finished, he would block the other side. That side belonged to the Wang clan and the Ge clan. He thought that the Ge clan would not help the Chen clan. With so many people, they dug all the way until night fell. They lit a fire and continued to work. When they rested, Steward Zhong gave them 4 dishes and a bowl of wine. He didn't give them any soup. Each person drank a large bowl of wine to warm their bodies and make them more energetic. If they drank too much, they wouldn't be able to do it. When these people saw that the wine and food were good, they all patted their chests and promised that they would not sleep until they finished digging. Steward Zhong took out some copper coins and gave each person 10. These people's enthusiasm was completely aroused. Steward Zhong did not feel sleepy. He was always energetic. From time to time, he would look in the direction of the Chen clan's Zhuangzi. However, he was blocked by the mountain, so he felt very happy. After these people finished eating, they began to work again under the light of the lanterns. After drinking wine, their bodies were warm. The cool feeling at night made them work faster. In the middle of the night, the river connected to the other side was dug out. After the water was released, they could continue to widen it. The water level was low now, so they were not in a hurry. The rest of the work did not need to be done by those who were working. Steward Zhong let them go back to rest and wait for the young master and young lady to come over. Ordinary people could not do this work. Erniu could do it, but it was a pity that he followed master to the capital. Steward Zhong was still not sleepy. He was still excited. After thinking about it, he had to go back to sleep. Otherwise, he would not have the strength to deal with the Chen clan tomorrow. He was ready to vent his anger. In the darkness of the night, many people could not sleep. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan were lying on the bed and talking. Cuckoo, are you sure you can do it tomorrow? The quality of the soil has not been tested. I am afraid that something will happen. Zhong Xiaobao was lying there, looking at the roof, and asked Wang Huan. Wang Huan was lying there with her chin on the pillow. She moved her head and said, "Don't worry. It's just an explosion. Blow up the last place that is blocking the water. I will not stand there and use the fire sickle to ignite the fire. I will pull the cannon line long. This should be fine, right? Pull it out 2 li. Our cannon line is a bamboo pipe. How can you connect it so far? Why don't you think of another way? Don't get too close. I am worried." Zhong Xiaobao was still a little worried. Wang Huan had already heard Zhong Xiaobao say it 6 times. She knew that he was worried about her. She could only say, "How about this? Let's put oil paper under the fire. The twisters will connect directly to that place. Then I will use the fire sickle to ignite it. You see if it works. Put a few more. There will be one that will be affected. At worst, I will use 100,000 firecrackers. If I am not afraid that the medicinal rope will get wet, I will use it directly. I know to be careful. Let's sleep. Yes, let's use the medicinal rope. If one strand is not enough, let's make dozens of strands. When combined, how much can it get wet? Tomorrow morning, we will get them to make it. Let's sleep. Zhong Xiaobao thought of an idea and was relieved. Wang Huan turned over and fell asleep. She knew that there were many ways, but Zhong Xiaobao was worried that something would happen to her. So, he was confused. Steward Zhong did not sleep at this time. He did not sleep with his wife. Today, he wanted to sleep by himself. He lay there and muttered, "You are finished. My young master avenged me. How dare you block the road? Tomorrow, it will be fine. I am going to sleep. I want to see if the Chen family's master and butler can treat me like they did yesterday and today. Humph. I am not the Steward Zhong of the past who can be bullied by anyone. No, I am going to sleep. This time, my body is going to sleep. You said that you don't have any contact with the Zhong family. I don't believe it. How can you run away, sleep, heavenly horse?" In Zhuangzi, the head of the Chen family, Chen Gengxin, was also not asleep. He was talking with Butler Chen in the study. "Steward Chen, don't you think we've gone too far? The Zhong family didn't offend us, nor did they provoke us. We're blocking the river and the road. If they find the imperial nephew, won't they find an excuse to arrest us too?" Chen Gengxin said to Butler Chen worriedly. "Master, don't worry. No matter how powerful they are, they have to find a reason. After all, we asked the Yuan family to dig this river. It is under our control. As for blocking the road, Master, if we don't do this, how can we get benefits? They have been in trouble several times and they have won. If we are so obedient, there will be no place for the Chen family in the future. This time, if we do well, not only can we get benefits from the Zhong family, but other businessmen will also know how powerful we are. Master, it will be much easier for you to do business." Butler Chen persuaded him, as if he was about to succeed. He was very excited. Chen Gengxin was also moved by the butler's words. After thinking about it, he felt that there was nothing to be afraid of. He relaxed a little and said with a smile, "Butler Chen, you are the best. If it were someone else, they would be afraid of them. At that time, they would not be able to get any benefits and the family business would be difficult. Butler Chen, you have done a great job this time. Master, you don't have to praise me like this. I did what I should do. In the future, no one will dare to mess with our Chen family in this place. Except for the emperor's nephew, we don't need to be afraid of anyone else." Steward Chen said modestly, but his smug expression could not be concealed. Chen Gengxin naturally did not care about his expression. He closed his eyes and thought about the future. He said, "Steward Chen, after the spring plowing, come out with me for a walk. There are some trades that you have to do more often." Housekeeper Chen didn't expect that this master, who was also his brother-in-law, would show him mercy and let him intervene in his family's business. He was so happy that he couldn't speak for a while. After a while, he said, "Master, don't worry. I will definitely do the business well. If there is even a little mistake, you can drive me out. Master, it's late, you should go to bed early." "Well, that's good. Go to your sister's place. Don't worry. Do your job well. It doesn't matter if there is a little mistake." Chen Gengxin stood up and said to Butler Chen. He turned and left, heading to another wing room. Butler Chen was relieved. As long as his brother-in-law still wanted to go to his sister's place, his position in the family would not be taken away by others. After a while, Butler Chen gently closed the door. He stood in the middle of the yard and said to himself, "Tomorrow, I will go to the Zhong family to talk about something. Well, I will go early in the morning." Chapter 287. Steward Zhong glared at Steward Chen as if he was his enemy. He had a reason to do so. Even the nephew of the emperor didn't treat him that way. Even the third-grade minister didn't treat him that way. "How dare you, a small steward of the Chen family, treat me like that? Steward Chen smiled and looked at Steward Zhong with the eyes of a winner. Steward Zhong had already walked in front of Steward Chen, but he suddenly stopped. After thinking about it, he turned around and went back. He met Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan and said, "Little young master, little miss, let's go now." Steward Zhong just suddenly thought, "Why should I talk to you first? I didn't go to you, so I turned around and came back." "Steward Chen, if you want to talk, just say it. If you don't want to talk, then forget it. Anyway, you have to come later." Steward Chen was stunned for a moment, then he smiled and gently patted the invisible dust on his body with his hand. He took the initiative to come over and said to Steward Zhong, "Steward Zhong, my master said that he can give the Zhong family a chance. Go and find someone who can make the decision. If you miss this chance, there won't be a next time. You have to seize it well. Who is your master? Do you know me? But why don't I know you? What's your name?" Steward Zhong looked at Steward Chen indifferently and said disdainfully. Now he was the host, not to mention that the little young master and the little miss were beside him. Steward Chen suddenly laughed. "Ha ha ha ha, Steward Zhong, what's wrong? Are you scared? Do you feel ashamed? You failed to do what you wanted to do, so I came to find someone who can make the decision in your family. You feel ashamed?" At this time, before Steward Zhong spoke, Zhong Xiaobao asked first, "Steward Zhong, who is this person? Why do I smell the stench of money all over my body? What about you, cuckoo? Me too. I don't have a good figure, good looks, temperament, talent, and taste. It's not his fault for being born like this, but it's his fault for wandering around." Wang Huan understood. Zhong Xiaobao was letting the butler vent his anger first, so he naturally knew what to say. When Steward Chen heard what the two kids said and had to face their disdainful eyes, his face turned green and then white. Steward Zhong, however, burst into laughter at the side. He looked gratefully at the young master and young madam and said, "Young master, young madam, it's all my fault. In a moment, I'll tell the people over there that they can't let anything in. Please punish them." At this time, Steward Zhong had an impulse to cry. The young master and young madam were really good. They helped him say these words that no one would have thought of. He didn't expect that these two little ancestors were not only good at making money, managing, and scheming, but also so good at insulting others. They were really like immortals. Steward Chen felt bad for a while. Finally, he remembered who had the upper hand now. He tried to suppress the anger in his heart and said to Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan with a smile, "You are the children of the Zhong family and the Wang family, right? How old are you? Where are your parents? Where are you from?" Zhong Xiaobao glanced at Steward Chen and asked with a sneer. "I am the steward of the Chen family in Zhuangzi." Steward Chen calmed down. He always felt a little absent-minded when facing the two kids. "Oh, steward. I thought you were the head of the family. What does your master do? What rank is he?" Zhong Xiaobao asked again. "My master doesn't have an official position. He specializes in big business." Steward Chen replied. "Business? Businessman? You're not even a farmer. Don't you know that this is where the government lives? How can you be so unruly? Aya, Xiaobao, business is really bad. Look at his steward. How can he be a steward with this kind of appearance? Don't tell me that your sister is your master's concubine." At this time, Wang Huan said. "Who said that the people of the second bureau wouldn't insult others?" Wang Huan's innocent appearance made people vomit blood. Wang Huan was just casually saying. She didn't know that Steward Chen was really her master's concubine. Her words were like a knife that stabbed into Steward Chen's chest. Steward Chen felt his vision go black and he almost fainted. After shaking his head twice, Steward Chen couldn't bear it anymore and shouted loudly, "My master will give you a chance. As long as you promise to sell 30% of the rice to my Chen family at the normal price, my family will give you water and let you pass. Think about it carefully. After you think about it, go to the Chen family and beg my master. Humph, you two kids, let me tell you, because of you, your family has to give 10% more rice. Originally, 20% was enough, but now it's not enough." After he finished speaking, He still felt angry and stared at Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan. Wang Huan turned her head and didn't want to talk to this person. Zhong Xiaobao curled his lips. Go back quickly. Ah, the outside world is not suitable for you. Now I'm telling you, because of what you said, the Chen family will go bankrupt. Take care of yourself. Steward Zhong, let's go. Why bother with a crazy person? As soon as Xiaobao finished speaking, the three of them walked towards the small river. Steward Zhong protected the two little ancestors who helped him vent his anger. From time to time, he would look back and smile at Steward Chen. Steward Chen really wanted to beat the two kids, but he didn't dare. He felt that if he really rushed over, he might die here. He didn't know why, but he had this kind of idea. After standing there for a while, he turned around and left, waiting for the Zhong family to come to the Chen family to ask for help. Then he would take revenge. This time, the people of the Chen family were dumbfounded, especially Chen Gengxin and housekeeper Chen. Housekeeper Chen told the old master about what happened that day. Chen Gengxin laughed at that time. He didn't expect that retribution would come so quickly. Chen Gengxin glared fiercely at housekeeper Chen and asked him to go up and plead for mercy. Housekeeper Chen had no choice but to squeeze out a smile and said to Housekeeper Zhong, "Housekeeper Zhong, look, our two farms are next to each other. We are neighbors, so we will have to help each other in the future. Do you think you can go easy on us?" Steward Zhong was waiting for this sentence. He turned back and smiled at the people he brought. When he turned back, he cupped his hands and said to Steward Chen, "No, no. Don't. The Zhong family's farmstead doesn't want to have anything to do with your Chen family's farmstead. The two original farmsteads are finished. What if they implicate you? Tomorrow, no, today, I'll get people to plant thorns there. Please be magnanimous and don't have anything to do with the Zhong family's farmstead." Chapter 288. Yesterday, the river flowed past my door. Today, it has stopped. I ask the river to go to the other side. The sky is blue. That was the thought of Steward Chen and Steward Zhong. One day. In just one day, their master and subordinate positions had undergone a great change. Both of them had mixed feelings in their hearts. The day before yesterday, just the day before yesterday, Steward Chen felt that he had stepped on the clouds. He didn't expect that he would be kicked down and flattened. Looking at Steward Zhong's appearance and hearing what Steward Zhong said, he felt that it would be good if it was just a dream. The Zhong family was indeed worthy of their reputation. Steward Zhong was not calm at this time. The young master was indeed the young master. He was as calm as a mountain and as swift as thunder. With the young master in charge, the two Zhuangzi didn't seem to have to worry about anything. They just had to go forward. No matter if they got into trouble or were wronged, they didn't have to be afraid. They would be safe when they returned home. Finally, Steward Chen lowered his head and said, "Steward Zhong, I have offended you 2 days ago. Please be magnanimous and treat it as a dream. What do you think we should do?" "Dream? It's fine if it's a dream. Life is a dream. When you wake up, no matter what happens, the sky is still the sky, the earth is still the earth, and people are still people. The water still can't be changed." Steward Zhong wouldn't let go of the water just because of Steward Chen's words. The water level was not enough for boats to sail here in the future. Chen Gengxin came here with a group of people to tear down the dam. Seeing that the Zhong family had 5 times more people than them and some of them were holding crossbows, he had no choice but to suppress his thoughts. Seeing that the steward couldn't do it, he had to stand up and say to Steward Zhong, "You must be Steward Zhong. Good idea. But the river doesn't seem to belong to the Wang and Ji families, right? If it's like this, the families who live on both sides of the Yellow River can change the river's course at will. The Chen family's road can belong to Zhuangzi. Why can't the Wang and Ji families' river belong to them?" This was Sanshui County. If the head of the Chen family was not convinced, he could go to the Yamen to complain. There were more than 700 Yamen runners in Sanshui County. Perhaps they would act impartially and arrest the Wang and Ji families. Or Lord Chen could write a memorial to accuse my master of bullying the people and taking advantage of the water. My master is currently in the capital, and he might be arrested. Not to mention the imperial examinations, he might even be thrown into prison in Chang'an. Oh, I forgot, Lord Chen is not an official, so he can't submit a memorial to the higher-ups. How about this? Master Chen will personally head to the capital and report to County Magistrate Pei. If you feel that there is no way to find your way, you can look for the registrar, who is County Magistrate Cheng of Sanshui County. Steward Zhong was naturally not afraid of whose family the river belonged to. If the Chen family had the ability to take over the river, then why couldn't the Zhong family do the same? Chen Gengxin also thought of this. Even if he spent money to get someone to investigate, they would definitely find out that his house was blocking the road. Thinking of this, he took a few steps forward and came to the housekeeper's side. Before anyone could react, he slapped housekeeper Chen's face. It's all your fault. You took advantage of the fact that I didn't care about family matters to privately block the river and block the road. Wait and see how I deal with you when we get back. After slapping housekeeper Chen Gengxin turned to Steward Zhong and said, Steward Zhong, it's my fault for not being strict enough. If I have offended you in any way, please forgive me, Steward Zhong. This water. Lord Chen, the water has been diverted, and it can't be diverted back. Lord Chen is a noble, and usually you don't have time to care about this kind of thing. It's better to let nature take its course. Steward Zhong felt sorry for housekeeper Chen. Look, housekeeper Chen took advantage of the situation, but when something happened, he was used as a punching bag. It was not easy being a housekeeper. Chen Gengxin thought that a slap would be enough, but he didn't expect the Zhong family to be so difficult to deal with. He hesitated and finally said, Is the Zhong family's wife here? I have some cloth business to discuss with the Zhong family. The Zhong family also has a cloth business in the capital, right? I don't have the final say in this business. There are other bigger cloth businesses. I can take this opportunity to introduce them to Mrs. Zhong. The water is not urgent. Steward Zhong understood as soon as he heard this. No wonder Chen Gengxin dared to lay hands on the Zhong family. It turned out that there was a person in the cloth business who was related to him. Saying this was a threat. Steward Zhong was about to tell this matter to the little child, but he suddenly remembered that the little child said that he would take care of the Chen family's business alone. In this case, he couldn't ask the little child for help. He thought about it and said, Lord Chen, you don't know. The business of the shops in the capital has been bad, and they are preparing to close. The business of the restaurant is not bad. Does Lord Chen have the help of those who run the restaurant? Then I will go back and discuss with Mrs. Zhong. I can't help with other things. Chen Gengxin didn't expect the Zhong family to be so stubborn. They would rather close the business than go easy on him. He frowned and thought about it, not knowing what to do. Steward Chen, who had been slapped, finally couldn't help but stand up and say, You Zhong family shouldn't go too far. Your family head is going to the capital to take the imperial exam. Even if the Chen family has to go bankrupt, we won't let him pass. Who is so powerful? To be able to take care of the imperial court's imperial exam, let me see. You must be very capable. In this case, doesn't it mean that whoever your Chen family wants to be the top scorer will be the top scorer? This Marquis doesn't know who the examiner is. Could it be that you already know? Tell me, let this Marquis take a look. Li Zun came over and happened to hear Steward Chen's words. He asked with a sullen face. Just kidding, just kidding. Little prince, don't take it seriously. There is something wrong with Steward Chen's head. He often says the wrong things. Chen Gengxin quickly explained. At the same time, he glared at the steward. Didn't he know to look at the people around him when he spoke? Li Zun turned around and looked at the head of the Chen family. He said, I think there is something wrong with your head. Otherwise, why would you use this kind of steward? Why would you dare to have any ideas about the Zhong family? There are people from the cloth trade. Amazing. I wonder how much that cloth trade can help you. Yes, little prince is right. There is something wrong with his head. The cloth trade is just a business. There is no such thing as helping or not helping. Steward Chen didn't dare to say anything about the cloth trade. His status there wasn't high. This was a critical time for the imperial exam. How could the cloth tradespeople offend the Marquis for him? In that case, what are you still doing here? It's just the river changing its course. Which river hasn't changed its course? Don't make a fuss. Go back first. I will think of a solution with you. Li Zun casually talked about the change of the river. He waved his hand and coaxed these people as if they were flies. The head of the Chen family revealed a wry smile. He didn't dare to stay any longer. He said goodbye to Li Zun while leading his people back. After the Chen family left, Steward Zhong immediately came over and asked Li Zun, "Little prince, why are you here? Is it okay if I don't come? The water on Zhuangzi has been cut off. I have to come and see where to get water. This year, the Li family is planting rice all over Zhuangzi. I want the seeds from your family." Of course, Li Zun didn't want to tear down the dam. He planned to come here and see where he could dig a small hole. He would find someone to make a ditch. Steward Zhong had an idea. When he heard Li Zun's words, he said, "Little prince, there is no need to get water from here. There is a small river in front of our house. It has less water than here, but it is enough for the Li family's Zhuangzi. As long as it rains, there will be more water. Looking at the sky, it seems that there will be rain in a few days. Little prince, why don't you dig a river over there? The Zhong family and Wang family still have water from the pond and well. It will be troublesome to make a hole here." "That's good. I can also help the Chen family. The Chen family has more than 3,000 mu of land. It's not easy." Li Zun thought for a while and said. Steward Zhong was stunned. "Little prince, you want to help the Chen family? Of course, this Marquis won't take sides at this time. This Marquis cares for the people of the world. I will help, I must help. We can't lack water during the spring plowing. 5 strings of money a day. No, that's too much. 200 copper coins per mu. We will split it 50-50 with each family. 200 strings of money, 100 copper coins per family. It will be the same every year. We can't ask for too much. 1 mu can produce about 3 dan, which is only a few hundred copper coins. If we take out 200 copper coins, we won't have much left. But we can't give water for free, right?" Li Zun was calculating. If he wanted to charge 200 copper coins for 1 mu of water, then the Chen family would have to plant rice as well. Rice was more expensive, but if they planted other crops, they would suffer a loss. They did not use much water, and the grains they produced would not be worth more than 400 copper coins per mu of water. When Steward Zhong heard this, he was dumbfounded. There was a limit to the rent that the villagers paid. Even if the main family wanted more, they couldn't ask for too much. Otherwise, the villagers would starve to death. According to this amount of money, the Chen family would have to pay 60 to 70 copper coins per mu if they collected rent from the villagers normally. If they asked for more, they would have to pay 30 to 40 copper coins. If they didn't want to pay, then the farmers didn't need to live anymore. Unless they could produce the same amount of rice as the Zhong family and Wang family's Zhuangzi, averaging 4 dan per mu. If they wanted to make a fortune from farming, then it was impossible. Especially Li Zun's last sentence, it was the same every year. In other words, the Chen clan was losing money every year. As long as they still wanted the manna, they could forget about earning money. At most, they could just keep some food at home in case of emergency. "Little prince, aren't you asking for too much? If they add this money to the farmers, then they won't be able to survive." Steward Zhong reminded him in a low voice. "It's good that they don't want to work. My family is short of people. This Marquis cares for the common people of the world, so I can find a way for them to live. It's also fine if it's cheaper. 100 copper coins per mu, or 50 copper coins. This Marquis also wants to open a cloth shop in the capital. It just so happens that they have a cloth shop. This Marquis cares for the common people of the world, so I can help them sell some." Li Zun was thinking about the cloth shop. He was now helping the Zhong family and wanted to stand up for this matter. Chapter 289. The spring plowing finally began vigorously. At this time, one could see the strength of each family in Zhuangzi. Whichever family had more livestock, that family was definitely not ordinary. The Zhong family and Wang family mobilized more than 500 cattle to work in the fields. Some of the fields were directly filled with rice straws, so there was no need to plow at all. They only needed to add fertilizer, and some of the fields had to be plowed several times. Beside the fields were the people sent by the main family to help with the cooking. Before the farmers went to work, they all drank a mouthful of wine. Those who drank more than 50 degrees only drank a mouthful and did not dare to drink too much. The Ge family also got nearly 30 cattle in Zhuangzi. This year, the farmers of the Ge family wanted to compete with the Zhong family and Wang family. In the past, they could say that the tools were not good, there were not enough cattle, and their bodies could not compare. This year, there was no other reason. Ji Yingxi gave them all that he could. If it was like last year, they fell behind by a large margin. Without the main family being angry, the farmers themselves would be sullen to death. Li Zun also thought of ways to get some livestock. He could not find too many cattle. The Zhong family and Wang family had never stopped buying and breeding cattle. The older calves were almost 2 years old and could do some work. However, Li Zun had other ideas. He got a group of horses. There were more than 300 horses. These horses were not good enough to be used as military horses, but they were better horses to pull carriages. If they were used to plow the fields, everyone who saw them would feel distressed. The horses were faster than the cattle, but they did not have as much stamina. Taking turns, they were not slower than the Zhong family and Wang family. In the end, the Chen family accepted Li Zun's idea. They spent 50 copper coins to buy water for 1 mu of land. In the future, they would also provide all kinds of silk cloth for evaluation to Li Zun and Zhengjia Zhuangzi. Housekeeper Chen was no longer a housekeeper. When he returned home that day, he was severely beaten. Chen Gengxin pushed all the blame onto housekeeper Chen. Even if his concubine pleaded for him, it was useless. This time, he miscalculated. He thought that the little prince would not help the Zhong family with such great fanfare. He thought that he could contend with the Zhong family by relying on the cloth trade behind him. In the end, he realized that the Zhong family was still the same Zhong family that no one could take advantage of. He could only suppress this anger in his heart and wait for an opportunity to take revenge. Now, it was impossible. The people in the cloth trade were also promoting some people to take the imperial examinations. As long as these people became officials, it would be very beneficial to the cloth trade. They really did not have the leisure to care about other things. If there was no imperial examinations, it was not a big deal to provoke a marquis. In the future, they would not do anything in other people's fief. But now, they did not dare. Who knew what kind of effect a marquis would have in the imperial examinations? In the capital, County Magistrate Cheng had a good time these days. It was spring plowing, and everyone used a curved plow. Every time this happened, they would think of County Magistrate Cheng, who made this plow. It was said that the emperor had mentioned him in person. The other officials immediately began to curry favor with County Magistrate Cheng. County Magistrate Cheng took this opportunity to start a big banquet. Usually, he went to 2 big markets, the East Market and the West Market. The places he chose were naturally the Zhuangzi's Embrace and the Success House. Every time, he would bring Father Zhong and introduce the people who would attend the banquet to him. The status of these people was not too high, but there were too many people. The officials below the 4th rank kept coming, but the higher-ranking officials did not come. Some of them received a letter from Minister Bai, who had not decided whether to resign or not, and some of them received a letter from the little prince. They were all waiting there. There was still a month to go before the imperial examination in spring. They were not in a hurry now. They were waiting for others to work, and then they could work according to the situation. On this day, Li Zun found Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan were thinking about a new plow. For example, they wanted to shorten the shaft a little, increase the curvature a little, and change some parts to iron. This way, it would be slightly more convenient, flexible, and durable. The head of the curved plow used by the rich was iron, while the poor could only use wood. Naturally, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan used iron. Make some texture at the place where the hand is holding. It will be more comfortable to hold it, just like the handlebars of a bicycle. Wang Huan drew on a drawing and said. She and Zhong Xiaobao didn't know what the best plow would be like in the future, and they couldn't remember it either. Usually, they didn't care much about it, but they would ask the villagers if there was anything that made them uncomfortable when they used it. The villagers would tell the two of them what they were dissatisfied with. The handlebars looked simple, but the hands of those who worked would inevitably be stained with mud. When they held the handlebars, there would be some sand between their hands and the handlebars, which was uncomfortable. To solve this problem, they could wear gloves, but they would not feel good, so there were no thin gloves. They also could not put a basin of water at the side and wash it from time to time. The two of them thought about it and decided to carve texture on the handlebars. If there was sand on their hands, it would fall off after a few rubs. It could also increase the friction. As for the length and degree of curvature of the shaft arm, it was also changed according to the suggestions of the villagers. When plowing, it was impossible to maintain a good straight distance with the hand holding the plow. When walking in front, because the place where the force was applied was different, it would deviate and need to be adjusted. This was also a laborious work. During the adjustment process, they would press down on the handlebars and let the weiwei in front of them lift up. The longer the position in front of the fulcrum, the longer the resistance arm would be. If the resistance arm was shortened alone, the direct force of the force at the back of the fulcrum would be greater, and the bending could be reduced. As for the replacement of parts in some places with iron, it was because the plow was not always spoilt. When plowing on the ground, the wear and tear was relatively large. Often, after plowing, they had to stop and change a part. When the soil was slightly bigger or hardened, they had to change more often. Every time they changed, they would waste some time. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan did not care about the consumption of time. What they cared about was the speed of plowing. They had to be faster than the Ge family and the Li family next to them. The villagers always had to be first to be more confident. While the two of them were discussing how to take advantage of the time to change, Li Zun came in. No one stopped him from entering and leaving the place where the two of them were. As soon as he came in, he saw Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan with their heads together, muttering and drawing. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan also heard the sound. When they looked back, they saw that it was Li Zun. Zhong Xiaobao hurriedly greeted, "Young Master Li, how come you have the leisure to come here?" Li Zun did not speak directly. Instead, he walked a few steps to the table and looked at the drawing on it. Then, he looked at Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan and said, "Good for you guys. I helped you guys in vain. Now that you have something good, you don't want to give it to me to use." Others say that the curved plow was made by Cheng Anran. I don't believe it. Sure enough. At this point, Li Zun paused and put on an apologetic look. She then looked at another picture and asked with a frown, "What is this? Shoes? Can these shoes be worn?" The other drawing did indeed show a pair of shoes, but they were made of wood. This was not a big deal, as most people who could not afford to wear leather boots did so. However, the front of the shoes was carved out of a whole piece of wood, a space big enough for 5 toes to fit in. Li Zun could not figure out what the two of them were going to do with such a useless piece of wood. Zhong Xiaobao pulled the drawing over and explained it to Li Zun, "My family and the Wang family have some broken stones in the fields. If you go in barefoot like other people, your feet will be finished. Wearing these shoes is much better. You don't have to worry about being scratched. Because in the mud, if there is wood in front, you won't get stuck in the mud." Li Zun finally understood. Yes, you Zhuangzi people care about the farmers. You don't care about wasting wood. Then what's the matter with this plow? It doesn't seem to be any different from the current one. Li Zun pointed at the drawing of the plow and asked. This drawing only changed the proportions of some places. There was also a grid drawn on the handrail. If one did not look carefully and was not familiar with this aspect, one would not be able to tell the difference at all. This is just a drawing for fun. I want to see if it can be more useful. First, I will make a batch for my own use. Then, I will tell others. Just tell this to Registrar Zhao. Sanshui County cannot always be without a county magistrate. Registrar Zhao has always been in charge of it. Since he can manage it, why not let him be the county magistrate? Zhong Xiaobao also had plans for this. Although it was only a small improvement, if it could increase the efficiency by 10%, then they might be able to plow more during the entire spring. The first plow was to turn over the soil. Later on, it was to let the fertilizer mix better with the soil. Li Zun looked at the drawing carefully again and did not see any difference. His interest was also reduced. Oh, then you guys can try it first. If it is useful, I will make some changes to the one in Zhuangzi. After saying this, Li Zun said again, the school has started to be built. They asked me to find more people to join us. I am just thinking about who to find. So anxious. Fine, young Master Li, you can find people to join us, but you can't take out the money now and let them continue to invest. Then, according to our agreement, are the documents of the 3 workshops and the 3 schools under our management and not under their management? Based on Li Zun's words, Zhong Xiaobao knew that those people had no money. The workshop had been doing odd jobs, but they had not sold anything. Because the workers' skills were not good enough, they could only break even. However, the craftsmen had to be paid, their meals had to be paid, and the apprentices had to be paid as well. It seemed that each person did not have much money, but there were many people. They said that they did not have 90,000 strings of coins, but they did not have that much money. A few days ago, they took out another 10,000 strings of coins. Those people did not have much money. If they did not find more people to join them, they would collapse. The dock had not been built yet, and only a site had been marked out. Yes, that's how it was signed. When they signed, they were not willing. Later, I used my status as a marquis to pressure them. I also said that after the dock was built, it would be theirs. So, who do you think I should find? How many people should I find? Li Zun mentioned the matter of the document. He seemed to feel that it was not good to use his status to pressure them. Chapter 290. Li Zun was a fool. He didn't know that he was caught in the middle. It was a battle of wits between Zhong Xiaobao and those people. Without Zhong Xiaobao's help, he would have lost the 10,000 strings of cash and offended many people. After all, he was the one who found people to join. Others would end up losing everything and could only blame him. When he heard Zhong Xiaobao say that he could find people, he asked, "Then how do you think we should find people?" Find people. First, find people who can invest money. Tell them that there will be ships in 3 years. For now, we will only build ships that can be used in ordinary rivers. We will form our own fleet and sell ships. As long as they buy a ship from our dock, we will not need to spend money to maintain it. For example, if there is a hole somewhere, they can find us. We will send people to tow the ship or repair it directly. They will pay for the wood. If there is none, we will sell it to them at a slightly higher price. We don't need to pay for the repairs. If their ship hits a big rock and breaks apart, as long as they pick up the board or something, we will use the board to add some materials to build a new ship. We will only take a portion of the cost. However, all the ships we sell must be marked with our dock's logo in an obvious position. When they ship things to our supermarket, they can only take 90% of the shipping cost. During busy seasons, they will give us priority to ship things. Zhong Xiaobao made use of everything that could be used. Rivers and canals required many ships. It was impossible for a dock to take care of all of them. They could only sell as many ships as possible. Even if the ship in the southernmost part broke down, as long as they were willing to wait, they would send people to repair it. If they hit a reef on the Yangtze River, as long as they could really get the board back, they would give them a discount. It was impossible for everyone to have the leisure to do so. What they wanted was a reputation. Li Zun couldn't tell the benefits of doing so. Thinking of the person behind this, he agreed. Then let's do that. I'll find people and discuss it with them. Don't. When you find people, tell them first. Don't let them know. They don't have much money. It's impossible for them to build a ship in a year. Liar, when they can't give you the 10,000 strings of cash and run away, you can find others to join. We will do it ourselves. We can't just throw it to that place for nothing. Zhong Xiaobao could only tell Li Zun the truth. Otherwise, if Li Zun found people to invest, those people would continue to survive. Liar! How did you lie? Xiaobao, tell me. When Li Zun heard Zhong Xiaobao's words just now, he felt like he was no longer in the human world. How did he suddenly become a liar? Zhong Xiaobao told Li Zun what Wang Huan said and said to Li Zun, "Now, let them take out the money they should take out. You gave them 10,000 strings of cash, and I gave them 20,000 strings of cash. One merit is 70,000 strings of cash. They now have to take out at least 10,000 strings of cash. Do you think they can take it out? Send someone to find out who they have been in contact with these days, especially when you gave us 10,000 strings of cash a few days ago. Ask them and you will know what they want to do." Li Zun had never heard of such a thing. Now that he heard it, he was stunned and blinked his eyes. It could be said that a huge wave was set off in his heart. When he first came, he wanted to help the Zhong family. In the past, he always took advantage of them. Now that he heard these words, he realized that things were not that simple at all. No wonder Master was relieved when he found out that this matter was related to the Zhong family. It seemed that Master should have noticed that something was wrong, but he didn't know what was wrong. So that was the case. Li Zun was not in the mood to talk about other things. He hurriedly left the Zhong family and found someone to investigate what those people had been doing these days. As for Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan, they continued to draw the blueprint from the night before. After drawing some more, they felt that it was about time and immediately got someone to make it for them, especially the shoes. For the past 2 days, the villagers in the farmstead had been wearing normal shoes. Previously, they had tried barefoot and found that they couldn't walk at all. The wheat and rice stones below not only separated the feet, but they could also accidentally cut the feet. There weren't so many craftsmen in Zhuangzi. They were all in the fields. Fortunately, there were many craftsmen who didn't need to farm among the people digging the river. They stopped digging the river first and rushed to make new clothes with all their might. In one day, they actually modified more than 200 sets. The people who made the shoes were a little slower. Zhuangzi didn't have that much good wood, so they had to get it from elsewhere. They could only let the villagers wear ordinary shoes to work in the fields first. The masters would make them again in the future. Once the new clothes were used, the speed really increased. Li Zun came again. "Quick, give me 2 sets of your new clothes. I will also go back and ask someone to make them. I have asked someone to look at them. They said that the changes were not big and they are easy to use. This credit will be given to Registrar Zhao as you said. There will be a new round of officials soon. I will think of a way to let Registrar Zhao be the county magistrate, let Deputy Zhong be the registrar, and let Deputy Dao take the position of Deputy County Magistrate. Then, Child Li, please take care of it. In the future, Sanshui County will at least be stable for a few years. You don't have to worry about the new county magistrate. Have you asked about those people?" Zhong Xiaobao also planned to do so. After Sanshui County had a dock, it was a little unstable. He had to take control of this place. When the time came, he would send the county magistrate one by one. Wasn't it just a political achievement? It was a simple thing. When Li Zun was asked about those people, his face turned a little ugly. He said, "Thank you for reminding me. In these days, they actually borrowed some money from others. 20,000 strings of coins. They even told those people that when the time comes, they will secretly use good materials to make boats for them. They will only pay for ordinary materials. It seems that they really don't have money. Today, I will ask someone to find them and ask them to bring more than 10,000 strings of coins to me. If they can't take it out, then they are lying." At that time, it was written in the document that they can take the land if they want, but they can't take the rest of the money back. When Zhong Xiaobao heard this, he also admired those people. In order to find a big flag, they actually deceived others to give money to Li Zun. They were ambitious and dared to do anything. Just like the people from Tubo, They were prepared to kill people in the Zhong family. They were really well informed. Tubo. Daring. Zhong Xiaobao suddenly thought of these two words. He linked the two things together and said to Li Zun, "Send people to continue to investigate. See where they came from and whether they had contact with people from Tubo. If they succeed in the dock, it will be summer at that time, and it will be impossible to harvest much food here. In addition, there are some people who are hiding and want to destroy the dock. When the time comes, a lot of money will be cheated by them. Do you think that the cheated people want to make up for the loss? Will they sell food here at a high price? Will the cheated people not think of this idea and someone will remind them? You said that the people who did business with me were sent by Tubo. Do you want to stir up some trouble here?" Li Ji wiped the sweat off his forehead as he spoke. There was a lingering fear in his heart. If that was really the case, then he would be considered a part of it. When the price of food here increased and people started to hoard, Royal Uncle would definitely send people to investigate. After investigating and finding out that he was a part of it, then, Li Zun did not dare to think about what would happen next. He thanked him and did not even have time to care about the new plow. He turned and ran. When he was outside, he shouted to the guards, "Quick, go back to Zhuangzi with me. Call the others back." The guards did not know what was going on and followed Li Zun back. Li Zun ran 2 steps and stopped. He pointed to a guard and said, "Carry me. Run quickly. When we get back, you will be rewarded." The guard did not think about the reward. Since the little prince asked him to carry him, he could only carry him. The crowd took turns to carry Li Zun back to Zhuangzi. Headmaster, something bad happened. I am in trouble. Think of something quickly." As soon as Li Zun returned to Zhuangzi, he went to the study. Seeing that there was no one in the study, he ran and shouted. It was the people in the yard who told him that someone was loosening the soil in the back garden. When Li Zun found the middle-aged man, he was loosening the soil bit by bit with a small shovel in his hand. Sometimes, he would poke a stick into the soil. "Headmaster, something bad happened. I was cheated and almost became their accomplice. Help me think of a way. How can I find out their background?" Li Zun stood in front of the middle-aged man and said while panting. The middle-aged man did not know what he was talking about. He asked in confusion, "Who cheated the little prince? Zhangjia Zhuangzi? No, it's the people who want to build the dock. They don't have that much money. They want to." Li Zun told the middle-aged man what Zhong Xiaobao had said in the past 2 days. When he finished, he said, "I need to find out their background. Right now, I need to investigate their background. I don't have that many people around me who can investigate. Whether it is true or not, we will know when the time comes. If it isn't, then let them build the docks properly. Also, don't let them have the authority to control it. Rewrite the document. If it is true, then send it to the higher-ups. So it's like this. There is no lack of capable people in Tubo. They know the weakness of our dynasty. When the time comes, they will send troops again. We won't be able to provide too much food. There is no food in the capital. They only need to send spies here and spread the news. The people will be in chaos." The middle-aged man was also shocked. After thinking about it, there were many things that Tubo could do. Looking at Li Zun's anxious expression, he let out a sigh of relief and said, "There's no need to be anxious. Let's first report this matter to the prince and let him send people to investigate. You have to capture the person first. Regardless of whether you captured the right person or not, wait until the prince has news before making a decision." Chapter 291. Li Zun was stunned. He suddenly remembered that it was Zhong Xiaobao who told him directly. There was no one else. Could it be that Zhong Xiaobao also had the same ability? "Teacher, when I was looking for Zhangjia Zhuangzi, it was Xiaobao who told me about the workshop. These days, I didn't see any forces from the Zhong family specifically looking for information in the county. Could it be that when Zhong Xiaobao was thinking about making money, the people behind him found out something?" Li Zun told the middle-aged man what happened that day. The middle-aged man couldn't figure it out either. Unless Zhong Xiaobao was so powerful that he directly predicted that someone was going to cheat Li Zun. This was absolutely impossible. And the Zhong family had been busy with other things. How could they have the time to train people to look for information? Little prince, could it be? There are many Yamen runners in the county. There are many Yamen runners. Those Yamen runners didn't do what they do now. They have some tricks up their sleeves. With the relationship between the Zhong family and the Yamen, they can mobilize these Yamen runners. It was the Yamen runners who helped them find out. Zhong Zhongren felt that this was the case. There had to be a reason. Let's not talk about this first. Anyway, I know that in the future, I will look for Zhong Xiaobao. Don't be afraid of being cheated. This time, we even made a profit. No wonder his family kept delaying taking out the 20,000 strings of coins. They didn't plan to take it out at all. Li Zun was worried just now, but now he felt that it was fine. He captured them first and didn't have to worry about them causing trouble. At this moment, a guard hurried over. Little prince, when those people went to look for them, they didn't see them. I heard that they left together and took a boat to the west at Wei River. As for where they are now, I don't know. What? Headed west? Ran away? Then they must be related to the people who were almost killed by Little Red's poultry 2 days ago. Now that they know the news, they think that the matter has been exposed, so they ran away. Chase them for this marquis. Send a fast horse over, and send a letter to the prefecture to let my father search the entire prefecture. When Li Zun heard the guard's words, he knew that there was no need to investigate further. Those people were in cahoots. Thinking of the consequences if he didn't cooperate with Zhangjia Zhuangzi, he was scared and angry. He shouted for people to chase after them. The middle-aged man was relieved and advised, "Little prince, don't be angry. They ran away. The shipyard, workshop, and school, as well as the money they took out before and the money they swindled, all belong to the little prince and Zhangjia Zhuangzi." Yes, that's right. It saved me some effort to have people catch them. I'm not angry at all. After all, I'm the one who made the profit. Xiao Bao also told me about the shipyard. I can find someone to invest and build a good shipyard. Otherwise, it would be a waste of such a good place. I'll discuss with Xiao Bao. Li Zun was still angry, but he wasn't as angry as before. Thinking of his gains this time, he smiled. As long as he kept in contact with the Zhong family in the future, there was no need to worry. After saying this, Li Zun excitedly went to Zhangjia Zhuangzi. He still had 2 sample plows to bring back. The matter of writing a letter was left to his master. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan didn't stay idle either. They received the letter from Mr. Zhong. They took the official route and sent it directly to Sanshui County through County Magistrate Cheng. When Sanshui County saw the letter, they sent someone to deliver it to Zhangjia Zhuangzi. It took 6 days for the 3 letters and several small items in the capital city to arrive. Wang Huan and Zhong Xiaobao sighed. It was so fast to take the official route. Otherwise, it would take more than a month to bring the letters back. It was considered abusing power for personal gain. Zhong Xiaobao read the letter from Old Master Zhong and Old Madam Zhong. Zhong Xiaobao didn't see the letter from Jiang Wang clan at all. In the letter to Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan, she praised Zhong Xiaobao a little and asked him to be obedient at home and not cause any trouble. She also asked him to reply to the letter. Zhong Xiaobao told his family not to tell others what happened here. He only told them the good things. After he finished writing the letter, he asked the Yamen runners to bring it back. At the same time, he also brought back a few new plows. He wanted to send them to Registrar Zhao and Zhu Shihu. This time, he asked him to do it. There was only one thing left to do, which was to plan the digging of the river. After the digging was done, the spring plowing would be almost done. The river would rise and his father would start the examination. As for whether the road that was blocked by the Chen family could be opened or not, Zhong Xiaobao didn't care at all. Who would want to travel by land when there was a waterway? Carriages weren't that sturdy. It was easy for them to break down after a while, especially Gulu. Usually, Those who traveled by carriage would have to bring along good tools to repair the carriage and some oil for the axle. Zhong Xiaobao also didn't care about the Chen family. The relationship between a businessman and an official couldn't be compared to the relationship between an official and an official. If someone were to find someone to deal with the Zhong family, that person's first consideration would be the Zhong family status. Keep the mud and throw it into the pond. Or dig a mud pond. Didn't Grandpa Bai want to occupy the 2,000 mu of land? Let him find a broken piece of land and occupy a bit more. When the time comes, we'll give him the mud. Wang Huan and Zhong Xiaobao stood on the small bridge and looked at the scene of those people working. They saw that the mud that was cleaned was black. From time to time, some red insects and leeches would flip out. They thought of an idea. Zhong Xiaobao was talented in this aspect. He immediately understood Wang Huan's plan. That's good too. Just put the mud in the places that can't be used for farming. We should dig a mud pond and put a layer of water on top. Every once in a while, we can let it out and replace it with new water. We can raise these red insects in it and use them to feed the fish. Even if there are leeches, it's fine. They can be used to make medicine and expel blood clots. Have you tried it before? I've tried putting the leeches in places with blood clots. They will drill their suckers in and suck the blood clots. I've heard that some people with rheumatism also use these leeches to recuperate. As for the rest, we can raise loaches. I still like to eat them. They don't like to eat them. We can keep them for ourselves. As long as we raise them in clear water for 2 more days, the earthy smell will be reduced. We can wrap them in egg white flour and fry them. Dip them in salt and pepper to eat. They are not worse than eels. They can also be snacks. What snacks? Li Zun came over from Zhuangzi. When he heard Zhong Xiaobao mention snacks, he smacked his lips and asked. He liked to eat snacks behind Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan. The two of them could always get some snacks to eat according to the seasons. Every one of them tasted good. Loaches. Do you eat them? Zhong Xiaobao asked. Yes, as long as you can eat them, I can eat them. What's the big deal about loaches? I've eaten insects. I've survived in the wild. Since then, I've not been picky about food. I'll eat whatever you cook for me. No matter how bad it is, it can't be compared to those insects and wild vegetables. Li Zun puffed out his chest and said. He seemed to feel very proud. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan laughed at the same time. They didn't know if Li Zun had written a book about it and sent it to the top, but the effect was good. At least Li Zun was more frugal when eating. In the past, when he went to between the clouds and the water, he would ask for a table full of dishes and eat only a few bites. Now, he asked for 2 of his favorite dishes and ate them all. What's so funny? I have a place to dig out the silt. Give it to me. Li Zun also knew the value of the silt. After settling under the water for so long, there were rotten leaves and dead fish and shrimps. It was good to use it for farming. Zhong Xiaobao was not polite to Li Zun at all. No, I've talked to Cuckoo. I'll give it to Grandpa Bai. I'll get some wasteland and put the silt there. Grandpa Bai will have more food and money. It's useless to give it to you. When you get the land and run away, the land here will be taken care of by the servants. You won't need it. It's fine to give it to old Shengshu. Xiaobao, those people ran away. My people were a little late. Now, everything belongs to both of our families. You can't spend money blindly. Hurry up and fix the dock and build some boats to transport things. After the spring plowing is over, hurry up and fix the restaurant here. A wooden restaurant must be built before summer. I'm still waiting to make money. When Li Zun heard that the silt was left to Minister Bai, he did not argue with him. Looking at the unfinished restaurant between the clouds and the water, he became anxious. Zhong Xiaobao was also waiting for the spring plowing to end. At that time, he would follow the plan he had discussed with Wang Huan. He would build some small canals at the place where the Zhong family and the Wang family lived. He would also plant some flowers and raise some small fish. He would also build a road on the mountain. When the time comes, this place would become a paradise. He promised, don't worry. When they finish digging the river, I'll find someone who knows how to do that kind of work. It won't take too long. I don't know if my father can be the county magistrate of Huiyuan County. Sanshui County can't do it. It was not easy to get the county magistrate of Huiyuan County. Didn't Minister Bai say that he will help? As long as someone recommends him, he should be able to come over. Aya, when the time comes, the two counties next to each other will become your families. It's over. The Chen family is in big trouble. Li Zun imagined that after Zhong Zhong became the county magistrate of Huiyuan County, Zhang Jiazhuangzi would be here. He also thought about the Chen family. When that time comes, won't they be constantly making things difficult for them? Zhong Xiaobao immediately denied, I am a good person. My father will also be a good official. He will not accept bribes, nor will he be greedy. He will also not bully the people. Li Zun curled his lips, your father accepts bribes. He is a fool if he is greedy. Your family is not short of money. I don't know if your father is a good official or not. Anyway, I feel that the Chen family is finished. What if someone forces them to give you money? Then accept it. But it can't be less than what my family has. Ask someone to take the person who wants to give you money to the warehouse. As long as he or she is willing to take out the same amount of money, accept it. My family does not have much money. We are still in debt. Really? Zhong Xiaobao sincerely said to Li Zun. Chapter 292. Sprouts sprouted on both sides of the broad road, and the swallows returned to their homes. There should be no idle people during the spring plowing, and the downtown area was bustling. In Sanshui County, there were not many people buying and selling things in the market at this time of the year. The people were busy farming or waiting for others to bring the plows for repair. However, this year was different. There were many people coming and going, and all kinds of hawking sounds came one after another. The Registrar Zhao Xiong and the Deputy County Magistrate Zhong Mingsheng were busy with some small things. They walked around together, looking at the lives of the people and the bustling scene. All these were thanks to the two of them. Both of them thought so. They had been doing their jobs and did not make trouble. They also did not look for trouble with the Zhong family. That was why Sanshui County could be so prosperous. They greeted the people they knew one by one, and the two of them walked to the dock. There was still a sea of people here. There were fewer people studying, but there were still many people working. There were some people from other counties who did not have fields and did not know how to do any handicrafts. After knowing that there was a shortage of people at the dock, they came to work because they had some strength. There was indeed a shortage of people at the dock. Many people who had fields at home had gone back to farming, and the people from other counties had just replenished the manpower. Those who had finished farming would be given new things to do. The Zhong family had a lot of work, so they were not afraid of not finding a place to work. The people who sold liangpi came out early. They went to Zhang Jiazhuangzi to ask for liangpi, and Zhang Jiazhuangzi had to make some for them, even if the weather was not hot yet. The deputy county magistrate and the registrar Zhao Xiong walked and looked, and sighed at the changes in Sanshui County in the past 2 years. Brother Xuyang, if there was no Zhang Jiazhuangzi, what would happen to us here? Would there still be a dock? Would there still be those businesses? The registrar Zhao Xiong said happily. The deputy county magistrate Zhong Mingsheng. Wei Wei shook her head. No, who bought this broken mountain in the first place? When they bought it, many people said that they were stupid. Now we know who is stupid. It's a pity that County Magistrate Cheng won't be able to see it. He's still busy over there. This summer, we can make a lot of money from selling ice. In winter, we can sell a lot of ice, so we can still sail here. That's right. Zhang Jiazhuangzi is still here. It's not easy for County Magistrate Cheng to come here. After Jioshan came here, he didn't know how to be stable. He made a lot of trouble and got himself into trouble. I wonder who the next county magistrate will be. Will he also want to make a lot of trouble and suffer losses before giving up? Zhao Xiong had always been thinking about the position of county magistrate. Last time, someone else had taken it away. This time, he felt that there was not much hope. However, He would rather be a registrar here than be a county magistrate elsewhere. He had already fallen in love with Sanshui County, so there was nothing much to worry about. If there were some problems in the county, it was nothing more than someone's chicken running away, someone's child falling down, someone's house leaking. No one in the family could work. Just take the Yamen as an example. Now, the Yamen's function had been adjusted. Basically, all they did were trivial things like this. Even if it was just building a fence for the yard, someone would come and find them. The people were not afraid of the Yamen at all. Of course, they did not just want people to work without paying. Occasionally, there were people who killed pigs at home. They would bring some pig's intestines and make some food according to the recipe given by the Zhong family. They would also make some wine and eat with the Yamen runners who were guarding here. When the deputy county magistrate and the registrar caught up, they would also eat together. There was no need to worry about public security. It turned out that the local government runners were all very smart. Out of the 700 local government runners, 600 of them were patrolling everywhere. Even the farthest place of the Qin family now had a local government runner an hour away. Those who wanted to cause trouble were frightened when they saw such a dense patrol. The deputy county magistrate Zhong Mingsheng knew what Zhao Xiong was thinking. In fact, he also wanted Zhao Xiong to be promoted. He himself was not in the top class. If one said that he was a member of the Yamen, then he was. If one said that he was not, then he was not. He could not be promoted directly to the position of county magistrate. He could only wait for Zhao Xiong to be promoted so that he could replace Zhao Xiong's position. Seeing that Zhao Xiong was silent after talking about the next county magistrate, Zhong Mingsheng said, "Brother Jifang, don't worry. Maybe the next county magistrate will be you. I will also be popular. In the future, Sanshui County will be better. We don't have to worry too much. Just follow what the Zhong family says. I also want to, but the hope is slim." In fact, Zhang Jiazhuangzi also helped a lot. But there are too many people who want this position. Zhao Xiong was not confident at all. This year's Sanshui County was better than previous years. When the river was expanded and connected, maybe a 6th grade official would be willing to come over. Then why don't we go to Zhang Jiazhuangzi and ask if they have any ideas? There is a master there. They are also willing to find an obedient person to take this position. Who among us in the Yamen is disobedient? When Zhong Mingsheng talked about Zhang Jiazhuangzi, he suddenly came up with an idea. The two of them went to ask. The Zhong family should have a way. If the new county magistrate could be removed, it would not be too troublesome to find an original county magistrate. Zhao Xiong was also moved, but he shook his head and said, "The Zhong family has too many things to do recently." Zhong Zhong went to take the imperial examination. His family spent a lot of money. They have so many things to do. How can they have time to care about us? We will only make trouble for them. Sigh. We can't do this, and we can't do that. Are we really waiting for a new county magistrate? I have my eyes on your position. I am not satisfied. Zhong Mingsheng did not hide his thoughts of wanting to go further. For a moment, Zhao Xiong didn't know what to say. He couldn't just resign and give the position to Zhong Mingsheng. If that happened, his mother would beat him to death. His mother was also from a scholarly family. She expected him to be a high-ranking official and support the family's reputation. Just when the two of them were worrying about the next county magistrate, a few Yamen runners rushed over. When they saw the two of them, they wiped their sweat and said, "Deputy County Magistrate Zhong, Registrar Zhao, good news, good news." "What good news? Let's hear it." The Deputy County Magistrate looked at the cart and asked. "The Registrar General has good news." The Registrar General saw that the curved plough was not used well. Therefore, he made a slight improvement. He shortened the original plough arm and increased the degree of curvature. He also engraved patterns on the armrest. This way, it is more convenient to change the direction of the plough. The force of impact is less. Even if there is sand on the hands, there is no need to worry about the discomfort. The people all agree that this improvement will benefit them a lot when they are farming. Many people will increase their food supply because of this. The Yamen runner did not know how to practice. When he spoke, his face was full of respect, as if what he said was true. Zhong Mingxing and Zhao Xiong were stunned. They stood still and looked at the plow on the cart. It was as if they were in a dream. Zhong Mingxing was the first to react. He said to Zhao Xiong, "How is it? Zhangjia Zhuangzi really did not forget about us. It's fine if we don't do anything, but if we do, it will be a political achievement. Quickly, go back and write a memorial and hand it to the higher-ups. Brother Jifang, with this political achievement, the position of county magistrate of Sanshui County will be more secure. Quickly get promoted and don't block my way." Zhao Xiong was not the kind of person who did not want to be an official. Looking at the new plow on the cart, he knew without guessing that the Zhong family did not want another county magistrate. He was already annoyed. If he did not know what to do, he might as well find a rope and hang himself. He laughed and ran directly to the Yamen. After running for dozens of steps, he turned around and ran back. He said to the Yamen runner, "Bring this plow back. I have to draw it. Otherwise, how can I say that there are so many plows sent here? Is there still some with Ju Shihu? Quickly send them back. It's spring plowing again. County magistrate is right. There are some with young Master Ju. I will arrange for someone to send it over. Sir, please." The Yamen runner was also very happy. He even changed the way he addressed Zhao Xiong. He carried a plow and ran back. The others took the plow from the cart and sent it to Ju Shihu. "Don't call me that. It's not even close yet." Zhao Xiong was willing to listen to this title, but he still had to say it. "Sir, I am not speaking nonsense. This time, if you were not the county magistrate, the Zhong family would be angry. Last time, it was fine. This time, another person came. I think the Zhong family will directly take him away. Don't you know the ability of the Zhong family?" The Yamen runner knew that the registrar official was just saying this, so he continued to flatter him. Back at the Yamen, Zhao Xiong took out the 4 treasures of the study. His hands trembled as he wanted to grind the ink, but he did not have the strength. Zhong Mingxing had to take it. "Brother Jifang, don't be anxious. Sit down and rest. You can write when the ink is ready." Zhao Xiong took a few deep breaths. He was not as steady as usual. He also wanted to not be anxious. How could he not be anxious? He was going to be promoted soon. Who would not be anxious? Zhong Mingxing looked at Zhao Xiong and had to chat with him. "Brother Jifang, as long as you become the county magistrate, there will be money in the county's account. At that time, you have to be careful. Don't touch things that you shouldn't touch. The Zhong family can give us things and money, but we will not allow any corruption. Of course. The Yamen's money is for the people to work for. It is not for me. Even if I have the courage, I will not touch the money. Just look at County Magistrate Cheng. As long as you do well, the money given by the Zhong family will definitely be more than the money you embezzle." Zhao Xiong did not need Zhong Mingxing to tell him what to do. In the past, he was not greedy for money. His life was ordinary. Now, his life was better. The Zhong family sent things to him from time to time. It would be unreasonable for him to be greedy for the people's money. The two of them talked back and forth. Zhao Xiong felt much better. His hand was not as trembling as before when he picked up the brush. He drew the outline of the new plow and then took it apart. He also drew every part of the new plow. He was grateful to the Zhong family. If he did not take the credit, the Zhong family could also use it. After a while, Zhao Xiong finished writing about the new plow. He gave the credit for the improvement of the plow to himself. He was a little embarrassed, but he could not refuse. Chapter 293. What's the good news? Zhong Mingxing asked first. The two of them had not recovered from the bad news just now, and now there was another good news, which made them feel uncomfortable. That Minister Bai wrote a memorial and asked the officials to send it to the capital. He said that Sanshui County's registrar and county magistrate thought that the transportation in the county might be lacking. The river and canal can be expanded so that boats can travel to and from Benju to the capital. This move is beneficial for draining water when there is a flood, storing water when there is a drought, good for the health of the people, and good for increasing taxes. It is a great policy. The county magistrate should be able to protect the people and show the kindness of the imperial court. My lord, this river was built by you. Not only did you widen the river and clear the silt, but you also persuaded the local rich to set up small rest pavilions on both sides for people to rest. You also let the people buy and sell on both sides of the pavilions to increase their family's wealth. My lord, you are a good official who serves the country and the people. You did not spend a single cent of the imperial court's money. If you don't take the position of county magistrate, who else has the ability? Congratulations, my lord. The Yarman runner said according to the contents of the memorial, and then began to congratulate him. Why is the minister speaking up for us all of a sudden? The credit of digging the river is also counted as mine? Zhao Xiong could not believe what he heard. He just felt better, but now he was trembling again. He understood that if he had another credit, the position of county magistrate would be stable. No one could take it away from him. Otherwise, where would he be arranged to be? He was also a registrar, and he was so familiar with Sanshui County. The position of county magistrate could only be him. Brother Ji Fang, calm down. Now you know how powerful the Zhong family is. They pushed Brother Ji Fang to the position with 2 hands. I did not expect that they still have the energy to take care of us when they are so busy. But how can the minister help us? He came here to play. Zhong Mingsheng was now sure that he was the registrar. He asked others to calm down, but when he spoke, his voice was trembling. The Yarman runner explained, the Zhong family said that no one can touch the silt dug out from the river. The minister has written a memorial to retire and return to his hometown. He is going to buy some wasteland here and keep the silt for the old registrar. I see. Zhong Mingsheng and Zhao Xiong understood. So much silt had been used to return the favor, but the silt did not belong to them. It belonged to the Zhong family. It seemed that the Zhong family had paid a price. That's great. Let's submit the 2 booklets together. Zhong Mingsheng smiled. Reporting. Good news, I have good news. Just as he finished speaking, another bailiff ran in and said to Zhao Xiong, County Magistrate, I have good news. Again. Zhao Xiong stood up and supported himself with the back of the chair. He looked at the bailiff and waited for him to continue. Your Excellency, and the county magistrate felt that there were many commoners in the county who had nothing to do after the spring plowing. As such, they asked the Shong family to build 3 workshops so that the commoners could earn money during their free time. They also set up 3 workshops to teach the commoners survival skills. Your Excellency, quickly write the memorial. The Yarman runner winked and said. Zhao Xiong knew that there were 3 workshops and 3 schools, but weren't they built by the little prince? Why did he take the credit for this? Did the little prince agree to it? Zhong Mingsheng asked directly. Reporting to Your Excellency, the little prince seemed to be building a dock with the Zhong family recently. Unfortunately, the dock isn't here. Otherwise, the river here seems to be smaller. I think it's because of this. The Yarman runner changed the way he addressed Zhong Mingsheng and began to explain. If that's the case, what did the Zhong family use to exchange with the little prince again? Could it be that they were still worried after having those 2 hands and wanted to use a 3rd hand to settle this matter and stabilize their own promotion? Zhong Mingsheng said to Zhao Xiong. Zhao Xiong nodded. Sigh. The Zhong family really put in a lot of effort this time. They used 3 hands in a row. Let's see who else dares to take this position. Reporting. Your Excellency, good news, there's good news. Another bailiff ran in from outside. Zhong Mingsheng and Zhao Xiong felt numb at this time. They sat back in their chairs and waited. What was going to happen would happen. What was the Zhong family doing? They came one after another. Did they still think that the position of county magistrate was unstable? The bailiff who came in seemed to be in a hurry. He panted heavily and couldn't speak. Take a rest first. There's no hurry. Brother Anran, what do you think the master of the Zhong family plans to do? Zhao Xiong asked Zhong Mingxing as he gestured for the bailiff to drink water. I don't know. That expert is amazing. He always does things one after another. How can we guess? If we can guess it, won't we also be experts? No wonder the little prince stayed there and didn't go home. He wants to learn something. Zhong Mingxing said with emotion. He was now full of admiration for the master of the Zhongjia Zhuangzi. After he finished talking with Zhao Xiong, he said to the bailiff who finished drinking water, "Tell me, what's the news? Your Excellency thinks that the river in Sanshui County is unstable due to the river being repaired. Therefore, they ordered people to build 40 boats in half a year to patrol the river and occasionally help to transport some overstocked goods. Such a good deed should be passed down by erecting a stone tablet at the Shaoluoshui Pier. Your Excellency, congratulations. In the future, all the people who were saved and helped in the river will remember your kindness and pass it down from generation to generation." The bailiff told them the news about the establishment of the fleet. It's the fourth hand. What does the Zhong family want? Logically speaking, those two are enough. Why do they have to push it down? The two of them became excited again. Unlike the previous 3 pieces of news, if this matter was done well, the two of them would be able to show off in the future. Why don't we go and ask in person? At least we have to figure it out. This again and again will always make people think about it. Zhong Mingxing suggested. Okay, it's good to ask. I can't figure it out either. I don't know which part of the chain is this. Zhao Xiong's face was full of yearning. He also wanted to go to Zhongjia Zhuangzi to be apprenticed to the master. Even if he could learn a little, he would be better than him now. This was called a method. It made people unable to guess the meaning even if they saw it. Reporting. Good news, Your Excellency, there's good news. It came again. No need to congratulate us. If there's any news, just say it. We know. One of us is the county magistrate, and the other is the head of the government. We can't run away. Zhong Mingxing didn't want to hear any congratulatory words and let the bailiff say it directly. The bailiff was stunned for a moment. When he saw the other bailiffs in the room who hadn't left, he said with a smile, "In order to educate the people, the two of you and the head of the government have specially set up an academy in Tuqiao village. You have also asked Master Bai, who wants to retire to be an official, to preside over everything and raise money for the construction of the academy. This will allow the people in the county who want to study to be educated and also allow the outsiders to learn the way of the sage." The two of them who had been shocked by the news again and again thought that they wouldn't be so excited this time. However, they couldn't control themselves and stood up from the chair again. Their bodies couldn't stop trembling. Building an academy? How much would the status of Sanshui County rise in the future? The Zhong family was able to invite the head of the government to take care of this matter. It was a matter of the scholars. With an academy, it could be said that the common people would be educated. This credit was too big. It was so big that it was frightening. Okay, you can all leave. I will discuss it with the head of the government. Zhong Mingxing didn't dare to continue waiting like this. He asked them to leave. He wanted to have a good discussion with Zhao Xiong. However, Zhongjia Zhuangzi didn't seem to want to give him the chance. There was another reporting. "My lord, good news. Congratulations, my lord. In order to show the prosperity of our country, you have specially allowed some merchants to unite. You want to cover the supermarket where everything in the world can be bought and sold. Only in this market, you can buy and sell many things that are not commonly seen in the local area. My lord's public virtue is boundless." The Yamen runner was quick to talk and told them about this matter. Zhong Mingxing and Zhao Xiong looked at each other. What supermarket? What was it for? Which merchants were involved? What kind of goods were they buying and selling? The two of them didn't know at all. The only thing they knew was that this matter was caused by the Zhong family. What did the Zhong family want to achieve? It was enough. Chapter 294. The runner heard Zhong Mingxing's words and said, "The Zhong family said that you must have doubts in your heart. You don't know why the Zhong family has pushed you so many times, so you are anxious to ask. The Zhong family said that you don't need to wait. You will know what they mean when you hear the last piece of news. The Zhong family said that some of the seeds can be brought to the Zhong family first. The Zhong family will be responsible for planting the seedlings. When the time comes, the seedlings will be distributed to various parts of the county. Based on the Zhong family's farmstead's direct planting of the seedlings last year, it should be able to increase the yield by 10%. Sirs, this humble one has finished speaking. Hiss. When Zhong Mingsheng and Zhao Xiong heard the last piece of news, they couldn't help but gasp. Increase the output by 10%. As long as they got the seeds to the Zhong family and planted the seedlings according to their method. 10% of the output, how much was the whole county? But why did they say that they knew what the Zhong family wanted to do when they heard the news? What was so different about this news? Counting from the head count, the Zhong family had already pushed them 7 times. Including the current one, it was exactly 8 times. Why? What did 8 times have to do with the purpose? The two fell into deep thought. Their thoughts were basically the same. The first thing was to push them to the position. This was already enough. If the two of them didn't insist on staying in Sanshui County, they could directly push them to the capital and become officials of the capital. When they first entered, it seemed that they could only be 7th rank officials, unless the emperor summoned them alone and they could mention it. Of course, they couldn't go. There were still many things to do here. When they heard the last piece of news, they understood why they pushed them so many times. They even knew that the two of them would go to Zhongjia Zhuangzi. Sure enough, they didn't let anything go wrong. It seemed that they knew their every move. While the two of them were thinking about it, the runners were also thinking about it. This time, they were completely relieved. No one could push the two of them down. If they occupied that position, Sanshui County would be better in the future. They wanted to say something to their colleagues, but they saw that the two of them were silent, so they also waited. I know. It's too scary. The Zhong family, they want to, brother and Ran, can you hurry up and say what you want? What does the Zhong family want? Before Zhao Xiong could figure it out, he heard Zhong Mingsheng's exclamation and urged him on. Zhong Mingsheng opened his eyes to the maximum and looked in front of him. His mouth was open, and there was an expression on his face that could not be described as either surprised or frightened. Zhao Xiong reached out and pushed him. Brother and Ran, are you trying to suffocate me to death? Tell me quickly. Brother Jifang, you see, there are business matters, agriculture matters, industry matters, official matters, as well as matters of merit and virtue. If you count them all, we have officials, agriculture, industry, and education. Moreover, none of them are simple. You see, Brother Jifang, we have business matters, agriculture matters, industry matters, and education matters, and none of them are simple. What do you think Sanshui County was like? What do you think Sanshui County is like now? Also, this river has become an important road. In the future, there will be a lot of people coming and going, right? Zhong Mingsheng explained to Zhao Xiong one by one and finally summed it up. Zhao Xiong nodded. He also knew that these matters included various aspects, but it had nothing to do with Zhongjia Zhuangzi's plan. He looked at Zhong Mingsheng in confusion and said, I understand. In the future, Sanshui County will not be comparable to the original one. Although we are a middle county, we are better than some upper counties. Especially when many people come from other places to settle down in our Sanshui County, as long as the number of people is a little more. Then we can report to the higher-ups and let this place become the Zhong family. It turns out that not only do they want to promote us, but they also want to promote the whole county from a middle county to an upper county. They want to promote 8 hands, including officials, agriculture, industry, and education. So it turns out that they want to promote the county. What a big plan. When the time comes, I won't be a lower 7th grade official. I will be upper 7th grade official, and you will be lower 7th grade official. Maybe with more people, I will be lower 6th grade official, and you will be upper 7th grade official. It's crazy. Either we are crazy, or the Zhong family is crazy. Using the power of Zhuangzi to promote the county to an upper county. 8 hands in a row, this is the first time I've heard of this in my life. It's also the first time I've seen it. Which Zhuangzi has this kind of plan? Which Zhuangzi has this kind of ability? Zhangjia Zhuangzi can and dare to. He is the best Zhuangzi in the world. When he said these words, Zhao Xiong's hands were already cramping. He wanted to clench his fists, but he couldn't. He wanted to open his hands, but he couldn't. His eyes were also wide open. Zhong Mingsheng's hands trembled as he picked up the teacup on the table. He wanted to drink a mouthful of water, but the edge of the teacup hit his teeth. No matter what, he couldn't drink it. He just held it and said honestly, using the power of a Zhuangzi to promote a county, this is unheard of. If they were given a county, wouldn't they dare to promote a province? If they were given a province, would they promote a country? Someone, come here and feed me some water. After saying so much, Zhong Mingsheng still couldn't drink any water. He shouted at the bailiffs. No bailiff came over. They were also trembling. It was too scary. Zhangjia Zhuangzi actually had this kind of plan. If they didn't hear it clearly and saw it with their own eyes, they would definitely slap the person who told them this. It was just like a dream. Sir, I can't go over. Sir, are you telling the truth? Our San Shui County is going to become an upper county. A bailiff wanted to go over and feed the deputy district magistrate, but he found that he couldn't walk over. His legs were cramping. He used his hand to support himself on the wall to prevent himself from collapsing. He had a reason to do so. If it was an upper county, the bailiffs would be different from the middle county. Their monthly salary would be higher, and their equipment would be different from the previous ones. Previously, they were allowed to use knives, but in fact, it was already a violation. They used hunting bows. If it was an upper county, they could directly equip themselves with bows. They were not allowed to use them during normal times, but they could use them during critical times. What's up to them? Even if the county had to pay for it, the Zhong family would take care of it. For example, the most powerful counties, Chang'an and Wanyan, could even equip themselves with crossbows. Although they were not as good as military crossbows were still crossbows. It was already good enough for the bailiffs in the lower county to have a water and fire rod. In the future, it would be more awe-inspiring when they go out. They wouldn't have to be afraid when they encounter something. They wouldn't have to carry knives around in the middle county. They wouldn't have to worry about being questioned when they go out. If they were in the upper county, they could ride a good horse and walk around with knives. What could they do? Zhong Mingsheng could understand the feelings of the bailiffs. He sighed and stopped drinking. Trembling, he put the teacup back down. He sat there and panted heavily, waiting for the trembling to subside. He would be fine once the trembling subsided. His trembling body did not affect his speech much, but his voice was a little shaky. Since he couldn't move, he could only chat. Brother Ji Fang, how is it? Are you convinced? In the future, San Shui County will be more stable. The bailiffs will be able to use good bows. When the time comes, I don't know if the higher-ups will give them to us. After all, our bailiffs are a little overstaffed. It's good enough that they don't investigate. It seems that we still have to wait for Zhangjia Zhuangzi to do it. The Zhong family's continuous actions will cost a lot of money. Zhong Mingsheng said to Zhao Xiong. He was also happy. His position was promoted, and his rank was also promoted. As long as Zhangjia Zhuangzi could do it, it would be easy for him to become an upper county. Every year, he would have to pay taxes and hand in food. Who would dare to be unconvinced? Yes, there are so many things. The higher-ups will not give them. If they give them out, will they rebel? But we didn't do anything wrong. When we recruited bailiffs, we did it for this step, right? There are 40 boats patrolling in the water. Each boat has 10 people, which means there are 400 people. There are not enough people patrolling in the county. 5 people is still 200 people. When we forced Jioshan to recruit bailiffs, we only knew that the Zhong family would not leave so many people idle. But we never expected that the Zhong family had considered this point at that time. Their plan was too big and too far, but it was so thorough. Not only did they spend the last bit of money in the Yarman's account to restrain Jioshan, but they also made arrangements for today's events. What an expert! I finally understand what it means to be intertwined. The Zhong family never makes mistakes for no reason. They even had such considerations when roping in the little duke to build Shueyun Club. Money, it was all about money, and also reputation. Since the invention of the curved plow last year, he had been pushing it all the way. Little by little, he had finally pushed Zhongxian to Shongxian and controlled the entire Sanshui County in his hands. Yes, he had even pushed Zhongzhong from a small family to the capital. I think Zhongzhong must be one of the top 3. I understand now. Those who are useful to them, they will push them away. Those who are not obedient, they will push them away. They will push you until your heart is blooming with joy. They will press you until you are heartbroken. Fortunately, we are obedient. Otherwise, you will be beaten to death by your mother. I know. Zhong Mingsheng didn't wait for Zhao Xiong to finish his sentence. You won't be able to get better, Zhao Xiong said unconvinced. You are the most rigid one. As a chief clerk, you can't get along well with others. You are the most dangerous one. Fortunately, you spoke up for the Zhong family. I am not. If the Zhong family treats me better, I am willing to listen to them. What kind of position is a deputy county magistrate? He doesn't have that ability. Zhong Mingsheng mentioned what happened in the past. At that time, when they met the higher-ups, Zhao Xiong didn't speak up for the Zhong family. Instead, he spoke ill of them. What would happen to Zhao Xiong now? It was not easy for a rigid person to lie for them. It was really lucky. Zhao Xiong also thought of what happened at that time. He said, "What do you know? I am afraid that Zhangjia Zhuangzi will be angry and kill the cucumber sprout. My mother wants to eat it. I am doing this for my mother. I am also obedient. I listen to the Zhong family. They are very good to me. When my little sister is sick, they send ginseng to my little sister for her to use. They also give her a lot of delicious food. If anyone dares not to listen to the Zhong family, I will fall out with that person." The Yarman runner who was holding the wall also said. Chapter 295. Spring is full, the plum blossoms fall, the apricot blossoms bloom, the moon shines on people, love is always there. Half a month has passed since Zhong Mingsheng and Zhao Xiong reported the 8 matters. The river is completely connected. Some people are still there to clear the silt, and some people are left to build the embankment. Most of the craftsmen who can be used are hired by Li Zun to build the restaurant. Bai Go is still alive. He bought a piece of wasteland north of Zhuangzi. The higher-ups have agreed to his resignation, and they are arguing for a new minister. Most of the silt had been dragged to his wasteland. Once the spring plowing was done, he would quickly get someone to dig it up. He had yet to find a farmer. The new home that Zhong Xiaobao had built for him occupied a medium-sized field. No one pursued this matter, and no one reported it. The 4 Zhuangzi family's spring plowing speed was faster than other Zhuangzi. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Zhuangzi were naturally the fastest. Li Zun complained to Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan more than once that they knew the new plow was better, but they still said that they wanted to try it first. As a result, their speed was faster than the new plow. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan tried to avoid this topic. They talked about the workshop, the docks, and the things in the workshop. The Zhong family prepared a large number of tents for the farmers to live in. While the people digging the river were idle, they built houses for the farmers. According to the original agreement, the houses were 2-story buildings. In this way, the farmers could help to build the academy after the spring plowing, and then build the 2 Zhuangzi to the appearance on Wang Huan's blueprint. It seems that those people can't be found for a while. I raised 100,000 strings of coins to build the docks. Xiaobao, you have to do it well. Don't lie to me anymore. Li Zun couldn't sleep in the middle of the night, thinking about the restaurant between the clouds and the water. He got up and walked around, and then found Zhong Xiaobao's place. Zhong Xiaobao and Zhao Xiong were studying. When they saw Li Zun coming, they had to stop and walk outside together. "Don't worry, we won't cheat our own business. You can use the money to help us first. My family is going to build a supermarket with the money from Little Luo Shui. After the imperial examination, Sanshui County must become Shong County." Zhong Xiaobao agreed, and at the same time, he made a request. Otherwise, it would take a few months. With Li Zun's help, it would be much faster. His father also. Li Zun did not think that this matter was difficult to handle. "Definitely, Xiaobao, I don't understand why your family is in such a hurry to move Sanshui County to Shong County. I have to do all these things at the same time. Fortunately, there are some people who are willing to invest. Tell me, what is your family's plan?" Li Zun really wanted to know. The matter of the Zhong family's manor pushing 8 hands in a row to turn Zhongxian into Shongxian allowed him to see the ability of the person behind the scenes. Even his father wrote a letter of praise and said that the Zhong family's manor was the #1 manor in the world. He asked him to find a way to get closer to Zhongjia Zhuangzi. He said that many people knew about this matter. Maybe people around Zhongjia Zhuangzi would move over. The reason was the same as his. Therefore, Li Zun didn't think that the Zhong family emphasized several times that they would settle this matter after the imperial examination. There must be a deeper meaning. Those who understood the situation and were a little bit smarter didn't dare to think that what the Zhong family did was too simple. Buddha said not to say. Zhong Xiaobao did have a plan, but he couldn't tell others. Even Wang Huan didn't know what Zhong Xiaobao was thinking. Hearing Li Zun's question, Zhong Xiaobao looked up at the moon and replied. Li Zun curled his lips and said, "What Buddha said. Now they are dismantling the Miao and returning to the secular world. Buddha is so powerful. How can it be dismantled? The moon is full and the moon is waxing and waning. I don't know if there is a Buddha, but Buddhism is a good philosophy. You won't understand even if I tell you. Don't be depressed because of a failure, and don't be arrogant because of a moment of happiness." Zhong Xiaobao finally decided to teach Li Zun well. He couldn't just ask for help without paying. Li Zun's family didn't teach him these things. They just wanted him to be a carefree marquis and a carefree prince in the future. If he knew too much, his heart would be too big, and it would easily attract trouble. He didn't have much contact with it. Now that he heard Zhong Xiaobao's words, he thought that it was taught by an expert. He turned to Wang Huan and asked, "Why do I feel a little uncomfortable when Xiaobao said this? Is it like this? If it is, then it is. If it isn't, then it isn't. Who can clearly say what is right and what is wrong? Everything has its own way, but it is like a dream, an illusion, a bubble. Like fog, like lightning. You should observe it like this." Wang Huan also understood Zhong Xiaobao's meaning and also taught him. Li Zun had never heard of this before. The great Tang didn't have it yet. After hearing it, he felt even more confused. "Can you say it in another way?" "Good. The Tao can be said, but it is not the Tao. The name can be named, but it is not the name. The nameless world." "I know. You don't need to say any more. I'll recite the rest." Xiaobao's meaning is that one shouldn't be happy when encountering good things, but shouldn't be sad when encountering bad things, right? Li Zun didn't let Wang Huan continue. This kind of thing was just like the rest of the words, mysterious and wonderful. Wang Huan shook her head. Why can't one be happy when encountering good things? Humans have 7 emotions and 6 desires in life. They must know how to enjoy life. When they should cry, they should cry. When they should laugh, they should laugh. When they should laugh, they should cry. If they don't have anything, are they still human? Xiaobao, what do you say? Li Zun heard that the two people had different opinions, so he asked Zhong Xiaobao. A capable person must always remember that happiness is followed by sorrow. He must also have the willpower to remain calm even if Mount Tai collapses in front of him. Fortune is where misfortune lies, And misfortune is where fortune lies, Zhong Xiaobao replied. Cuckoo, what do you say? Li Zun asked again. When the false becomes the truth becomes false. Who knows what will happen in the future? We can only enjoy the present to the fullest. Wang Huan said to Li Zun. Xiaobao, it's your turn. Li Zun looked at Zhong Xiaobao. If one doesn't think about the future, there will be immediate worries. Cuckoo. If you always think about the future, you will neglect the present. Why don't you, Xiaobao? Li Zun followed the two of them out for a stroll in the middle of the night. Hearing the two of them say completely opposite words, she didn't know how to choose. It seemed that what they said was right, but why were they opposing each other? Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan deliberately did this. In fact, real life was very simple. The daily necessities contained the philosophy of heaven and earth. The two of them wanted Li Zun to find what he should have in this contradiction, and not listen to others. Li Zun didn't know the two's good intentions. He listened and felt that Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan seemed to be full of talent. How could they teach this? It seemed that he had to work hard to learn. The three of them walked and walked until they reached the place where the houses were built. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan asked the workers to build the houses in a more unique way. They didn't want them to be so neat, and they had to be well arranged. In the future, there would be corridors and small canals here. An almond tree that had already bloomed swayed gently in the evening wind, and the faint fragrance of flowers could be smelled. The villagers lived in tents, and from time to time, there would be people walking by. Not only did the footsteps not wake the people in the tents, but they also made them sleep more soundly. Li Zun and Zhong Xiaobao stood under the tree and looked at the people walking by. They said, "Are these people from your family's inner courtyard? Are they keeping vigil?" "Yes, keeping vigil. We can't let the villagers keep vigil by themselves. We still have things to do tomorrow." Zhong Xiaobao knew what Li Zun wanted to say. Wasn't it just that the main family did this differently from the other Zhuangzi? In his mind, there was only the reasonable use of manpower, and he didn't care about whether someone's identity should be doing what they should do. Yes, that's right. If the villagers can sleep well, I'll do the same later. Xiaobao, I still don't understand. When your father changes places, your family will naturally move as well. Although the Zhuangzi here will still belong to your family, what does Sanshui County have to do with your family? Li Zun often asked when he couldn't solve the doubts in his heart. This was the 5th time he asked. We'll know when the time comes. Zhong Xiaobao still had the same expression. He wouldn't say, he definitely wouldn't say. Well, I'll wait. Xiaobao, I've written the letter. When the time comes, your father will definitely be in the top 3. As for whether or not he will be in the top 3, I'm not sure. If he isn't, don't blame me. Li Zun suddenly remembered Zhong Zhong's matter. There was only half a month left before the examination. He was also not sure if he was in the top 3. Not only did they cut off the water supply, but they also cut off the road leading to the river and planted thorns. I heard that many people have been taken advantage of by the Zhong family, but the Chen family still dared to do this. They are really bold. What? Cut off the water supply? Then how can the spring plowing in Zhuangzi continue? Zhong Zhong's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. He immediately thought of the consequences of this matter. Without water, they could not plow the land. What would happen to Xiao Bao and Xiao Er? They must be very worried. Where would they get water? Guan Feng deliberately paused for a moment. He picked up his bowl and took a sip of wine. Then, he picked up a piece of cucumber and garlic and looked at the eager eyes of the people around him before he said, I heard that the Zhong family's housekeeper went to look for them twice in a row. In the end, the Chen family made things difficult for him both times. They said that it was useless. The Chen family even mocked the Zhong family, saying that they did not dare to have anything to do with them. Guess what happened after that? What happened? A few people who liked to hear about this kind of thing asked in unison. Zhong did not ask. He was already clenching his fists. He was thinking that after he passed the exam, he would definitely let the Chen family know how powerful they were. He would not let them off so easily for bullying Xiao and Xiao Bao while the head of the family was not at home. After that, those who wanted to watch the show once again witnessed the power of the Zhong family. The Chen family cut off the water supply in their area, and the Zhong family changed the most critical part of the river. The next morning after the Chen family finished planting the thorns, the Zhong family set up everything in a single night. The Chen family was dumbfounded this time, and they went to beg the Zhong family's housekeeper again. What karma? Oh, you might not know what happened to the river over there. Let me tell you, that river. Guan Feng spoke excitedly as if he was a member of the Zhong family. He also introduced the terrain of the area to those who did not know the situation. Zhong did not need to listen to this introduction. How could he not know where his family was? He was angry and worried just now, but now he smiled. He knew that this must be the work of his son, Xiao Bao. Other than Xiao Bao, there was no other person who could do things this way. Zhong could not help but laugh when he thought of the Chen family's reaction when there was no water. County Magistrate Cheng came over and said to Zhong, "Brother Yongcheng, don't worry about your family. Do you think your family is afraid of this kind of thing? It's just Zhuangzi from the Chen family. It's too easy to deal with them." Yes, County Magistrate Cheng is right. Zhuangzi is quite safe. Did County Magistrate Cheng receive a letter from Sanshui County? I received one the day before yesterday. It didn't say anything except that the flowers had bloomed and the farmers were working fast. Zhong did not expect to receive a letter from his family that he needed to think about. If he wanted to know, he could only ask someone else. County Magistrate Cheng hesitated for a moment and said, "Well, to be honest, I did receive a letter. If Brother Yongcheng wants to know, I will tell you. But you must not miss the important matter. Otherwise, it will be difficult for me. Tell me. Let's see what it is." Zhong was not so worried now. He just felt sorry for his son. The Zhong family's business was very big. His son and daughter-in-law had to manage people, settle accounts, and study at the same time. There were also one or two troublemakers. They were busy from morning to night. They were still children. When County Magistrate Cheng was about to speak, he suddenly trembled. He took a deep breath and said to Zhong, "I can tell you, but you can't get too excited. This time, your family is determined to arrange people for the county magistrate of Sanshui County. They gave the new plough, the expansion of the river, the construction of the workshop, all these benefits to Zhong Mingxing and Zhao Xiong there." County Magistrate Cheng said those things one by one. As he spoke, he drank and was afraid that he could not control his trembling. Zhong was also stunned. He did not expect that Xiao Bao had done so many things after leaving home for such a long time. However, he did not understand and asked, "What do they want to do?" Yes, Zhong Mingxing and Zhao Xiong also thought of this. What does the Zhong family want to do? The result is, your family not only wants to promote them, but also wants to change Sanshui County from Zhongxian to Shong County. This big thing has been reported. I think it will not take long before Sanshui County becomes a Shong County. As long as County Magistrate Cheng thought of this, he could not control himself. He held the chopsticks tightly in his hand. Zhong was also excited. He did not expect his son to be so capable. He could not tell what he was feeling. Zhangjia Zhuangzi was famous now. In this big world, which Zhuangzi could promote a county? His Zhangjia Zhuangzi could. His precious son had this ability. Perhaps he was used to his son's power, so Zhong did not tremble. He just stood there and laughed. He thought about how his manner would be in a county in the future. He did not know that he could no longer return to Sanshui County to be an official. Chapter 297. Zhong Xiaobao naturally didn't know that his father was also thinking about him. He, Wang Huan, and Li Zun went to the tent where the child was crying and said, "Can we take a look?" The sudden voice made the child stop crying. After a few breaths, The crying sounded again, louder than before. The farmer inside didn't know who was talking outside, but he knew that there were people patrolling outside, so it couldn't be bad people. He opened the tent and looked up, then immediately greeted, "So it's the young master and young lady. You came so late, come in and rest." After all, Zhong Xiaobao's identity was different, so the farmers were very respectful when they saw him. The three of them entered the tent one after another. Zhong Xiaobao sniffed and found that there was no unpleasant smell. There was a brazier lit with smokeless charcoal, so it wasn't cold either. The child was placed on a thick cushion. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan both remembered that the child was only 9 months old, and he was crying with his mouth open. The man at home had a helpless expression. "Come, Xiaobao baby, let me hold you. Tell me, why are you crying?" Wang Huan went over first and stretched out 2 hands, preparing to put one hand on the child's back and the other hand on the child's leg. Zhong Xiaobao quickly pulled Wang Huan away. "You can't hold a child like this. The child's waist is soft, and this will make him cry even more. Watch me." As he spoke, Zhong Xiaobao half knelt on the ground. His right hand passed under the child's arm and placed under the child's armpit. His left hand arched and supported the child's buttocks. He placed the child on his lap and said to Li Zun, "Go outside and get a lantern." Li Zun didn't know what Zhong Xiaobao was going to do, so he turned and went out. He called a patrolling person and asked for a lantern, then returned to the tent. "Hold it above the child's head. Cuckoo, come over and sit with me. Tilt your body slightly outward. We'll block his back together and use our bodies to block the places he can see from the corner of his eyes." Zhong Xiaobao said to Li Zun, then arranged for Cuckoo. Wang Huan curiously followed Zhong Xiaobao's instructions. "You two sit next to me and Cuckoo, not on both sides, but in front. Make space for one person on both sides of the child. You two block there, but don't worry about the front of the child's eyes." Zhong Xiaobao continued to instruct the couple. The two of them sat in the wrong place at first, but they quickly corrected themselves. If it were anyone else doing this, they would have been angry. But when the young master of the main family carried their son, they felt happy instead. After the arrangements were made, the crying child suddenly stopped crying. Her mouth was slightly open, and she allowed her saliva to flow out. Blinking her big eyes, she looked in front of her, then turned her head to look around. She giggled and placed her 2 small hands on one of Zhong Xiaobao's arms and the other on his chest. "Xiaobao, why did he stop crying? I thought he was crying because he peed or pooped, or because he was hungry. What's wrong with you?" Wang Huan felt that this was too strange, so she asked Zhong Xiaobao. Zhong Xiaobao put his head next to the child's head, gently nudged it, and kissed the child. The child laughed even louder and tilted his head to nudge Zhong Xiaobao. Zhong Xiaobao moved closer and nudged him. The child laughed and tilted his head to Wang Huan again. This time, Zhong Xiaobao explained, "In fact, it's very simple. Just like in our Zhuangzi, there are people on night watch and patrol. Everyone knows that there are people around to protect them, so they can sleep soundly. It's the same principle to arrange people to patrol here. Adults know that they will think of ways to hint to themselves, but children don't." She shivered and said, "That is to say, the adults are not like this. But why do the adults feel empty? That shows that the 6th sense is inherited from the genes. The oldest primitive people will not deliberately change this feeling, so they have a unique perception of danger. We have to cultivate this feeling again after we grow up. Isn't it a bit sad? Why are the children willing to play in the passage we make with straw? Why do adults like to decorate their own homes? This is because they can't eliminate the information from the genes. They want to protect themselves and hide themselves. Think about it carefully. We always hope that there is a high wall behind us in an empty place. If you still don't understand, look at animals. For example, when a dog is raised in a house, as long as the temperature drops and there are fewer people in the house, it will run to the corner of the wall and stay there, so that the surrounding scene can be seen in its own vision. When Zhong Xiaobao was talking, he had been using his left hand to cover the baby's navel. He mouthed a few words to Wang Huan. The baby closed his eyes and fell asleep, one hand on Zhong Xiaobao's left hand, the other hand clenched into a small fist. Wang Huan looked at the baby, and then looked at Zhong Xiaobao. She felt very strange. It was so simple, but the baby stopped crying. It turned out that loneliness and not being able to control were the most difficult things to bear. The parents of the two children saw that the children were asleep, so they were relieved. When they heard the children cry but couldn't do anything, they were worried. Little young master is amazing. The master is the master, and we farmers can't compare to him. The child's father looked at his son who was sleeping soundly and praised him. Zhong Xiaobao carefully handed the child to the child's mother and said, "Sleep with the child tonight." Zhong Xiaobao was a little tired. When he held the child just now, his whole body was relaxed. That way, the child would be comfortable. He was still young. When he held the child, he started from the age of 5. Under the grateful eyes of the couple, the 3 people walked out of the tent. Li Zun was still holding the lantern in his hand. He shook it and said to Zhong Xiaobao, "You are amazing. The child stopped crying when he was in your hands. What kind of ability is this? I will learn in the future. This is everyone's credit. When you have a child and cry, come to me. I will teach you." Zhong Xiaobao felt that he could come up with a teaching material on baby care. Otherwise, if the villagers saw that he and Wang Huan were easy to follow, how could they learn? He and Wang Huan could feel what was happening to their bodies. They could adjust and exercise reasonably. Other children couldn't. What did they know? The reason for the high mortality rate of children here was that they didn't take good care of themselves. There was no systematic discipline. Even if the children didn't know how to speak, their every move was actually to express their thoughts. Wang Huan walked next to them and thought about what had just happened. She said to Zhong Xiaobao, "Do you have something to do? Otherwise, why did you tell me so much? I don't understand." "It's nothing. It's just nonsense. Don't take it to heart," Zhong Xiaobao replied very naturally. "It's nothing. People like you have to be watched carefully. If others say it's nothing, I will believe them. You, hurry up and tell me, what are you going to do?" Wang Huan certainly didn't believe Zhong Xiaobao's deliberately relaxed appearance. "You will know in the future. It's the same as turning Sanshui County into Shong County. It's directly related to the development of civilization." Zhong Xiaobao only revealed this sentence. Wang Huan lowered her head and began to ponder. No matter how hard she thought, she couldn't think of a reason. Li Zun stood at the side and did not say a word. What was important was that this obsession allowed Zhong Xiaobao to achieve such a great career and benefit many children. It was just like how they made Li Zun have contradictions in his thoughts. The ability of human existence was contradictory. Seeing that Zhong Xiaobao said so, Wang Huan promised, "I will make that children's song. It's simple. First, I will write down what you said at that time, which is the words of West Wind. Then I will write something like planting the sun. What do you think?" "Good, planting the sun is good. This children's song can make children with a kind heart to harm others." Zhong Xiaobao suddenly laughed. "How is it harming?" Wang Huan was puzzled. Zhong Xiaobao suppressed the idea of continuing to laugh and said, "This song has been circulating for more than 100 years. What are the lyrics?" "The general meaning is that if you plant the sun and hang it in the Antarctic and Arctic oceans, it will shine regardless of day or night. The result is that the ice and snow will melt and the sea level will rise. Do you get what I'm saying? How many people in Japan will be drowned?" According to the current saying, Lingnan Province, Henan Province, Huainan Province, and Jiangnan Province are all gone. It's okay if those places are gone, people can move to the mainland, but what about the surrounding islands? Where will they run to? When Zhong Xiaobao said so, Wang Huan couldn't help but laugh. Zhong Xiaobao didn't have a nationality. He only had the thoughts of a nation, but he also came back to deceive people. Wang Huan was different. She was educated like that. When she thought about planting the sun, she turned her eyes to the east and covered her mouth to laugh. After laughing for a while, She asked, Xiao Bao, Li Zun will come to find us tomorrow. Do you want to go to the shipyard over there? It's fine if you want to go, but it's also fine if you don't want to go. If you want to go, we can go and take a look. It's just that we can let the people here do something. If we don't go, it's safer. With the two of us here, we don't have to worry about anything uncontrollable. Originally, Zhong Xiaobao was waiting for the children of the Zhuang family to grow up so that they could help out. There shouldn't be any problems with raising them since they were young. But now, he was a little too busy. He had to personally understand such trivial matters. Steward Zhong could be used, but Zhuangzi couldn't be without Steward Zhong. Otherwise, his mother would be tired. Song Jingong could also be used, but Song Jingong was in charge of the docks at Little Luoshui. He was already not simple. Then there was Niu. He was smart and could arrange things well. He was now in charge of contacting the Henan circuit, which was Shandong. It was impossible for him to take time out to put his mind on other things. Shilu, Yingtao, and Xiao Hong were also good. Unfortunately, they were women. It was no longer the era of Wu Mainyang. Princess Taiping had died, so they could only do things at home. At this time, the two most useful people were Shu Sai and his assistant, Zhong Liang. Zhong Liang would be transferred to Beijing to be the supervisor. Shu Sai wouldn't be of much use now. Everything would be taken care of by Ergu. It's Shu Sai. Let's go there and play. Let Shu Sai take care of more things and see if he can adapt. There are 3 things: the restaurants between the clouds and the water, the closure of the river behind the river, and the layout of the cloister in Zhuangzi. After doing it well, he can take charge of it alone. If he can't do it well, he will continue to follow orders obediently. Zhong Xiaobao mentioned Shu Sai to Wang Huan. He wanted to test him. Wang Huan wasn't worried that Shu Sai would mess up. She trusted Zhong Xiaobao. She believed that in the face of such economic matters, Zhong Xiaobao could handle it very easily. If Shu Sai did something wrong, how much could he compensate? If there really was someone who dared to cheat Shu Sai, then it would be even better. Zhong Xiaobao would have something to do. Xiaobao, then do we need to prepare some information about the ships? Wang Huan also wanted to go out and take a look. The furthest place they had been to was Little Luoshui. If the road was better, it would take less than an hour to reach that place by car. No, I don't know how to build a ship at all. Unless you want me to cheat, don't even think about it. The ships here are different from ours. Find more old and new shipwrights. The old shipwrights are more experienced, and the new shipwrights are more courageous. We are not afraid of failure, but we are afraid of losing the courage to challenge. Zhong Xiaobao knew his place and advised Wang Huan. Well, as long as there is one person who can guide the intelligent people, they will be able to show their wisdom. I will listen to you. Wang Huan also didn't know how to build a ship. She originally wanted to draw some ship diagrams. The two of them talked all the way back to their own courtyard hand in hand. The moon shone on their slanted shadows. Except for the people in the inner courtyard, outsiders would never think that the owners of these two shadows were the people who completed Shongxian in Sanshui County. They each had their own strengths, 2 swords and 2 walls. Li Zun came over the next morning. He didn't eat. As long as he had a reason to come over, he wouldn't eat. The food in his house was not as good as the food in other people's house. The place that was similar to Beijing restaurant was the first restaurant in Linshui. The place that was better than the first restaurant in Linshui was between the clouds and the water. If he felt that between the clouds and the water was not good, then he would go to the courtyard of Zhong Xiaobao, the head of the Zhong family. This was Li Zun's idea. Chapter 299. After chatting with Li Zun for a while, the 3 of them finished their meal and prepared to leave. There wasn't anything big at home. If there was something that couldn't be solved, he would ask housekeeper Zhong to look for Minister Bai who had retired. Don't think that he didn't care about this kind of person who took the initiative to retire. Even the emperor wouldn't dare to ignore him. If he presented a memorial to the emperor, No one would stop him. Before leaving, Zhong Xiaobao found Shu Sai and said to him, Shu Sai, I have seen some of the things you have done recently. My family has decided that you will no longer be in charge of the market and the grocery store. Ergu is enough. Ah! Shu Sai felt that his head was buzzing. When he heard this, the first thing that came to his mind was that the master felt that Ergu was better and didn't want him anymore. What are? From now on, you will have new things to do. The end of the river, the arrangement of the restaurant between the clouds and the water, and the design of the cloister between my family and the Wang families. You will be in charge of all of these. If something happens, don't blame the master for not giving you face. Zhong Xiaobao didn't wait for Shu Sai to start crying and gave him the job. Shu Sai had signed a death contract, so he didn't need to use his previous methods to suppress him. Ah! Shu Sai called out again, but his tone was a little different. He thought that the master didn't want him anymore. He didn't expect that he would be given a job with more power. What I want to tell you now is that when you do something, don't do it casually if you don't have confidence. If you don't understand something, ask someone who knows. Don't worry, no matter who you ask, as long as the job is done well, the credit will go to you. If I find out that you deliberately suppressed some people, you will find a better job. Zhong Xiaobao warned Shu Sai. There were many cases of supervisors bullying their subordinates and denying the suggestions of their subordinates. Those people would rather the company not develop well than to use the better methods of their subordinates. Zhong Xiaobao wouldn't allow such a thing to happen to his subordinates. Shu Sai nodded vigorously. He knew that this little ancestor had taken a liking to him, so he had to listen to her. If he made the main house unhappy, his monthly allowance might be deducted. If he made the little ancestor unhappy, no one would say anything if he lost his life. He hurriedly agreed. Only when the three of them were seated in the carriage did he let out a sigh of relief. He muttered, if you don't understand, just ask. Tell the person who came up with the idea to the young master and young lady. I will also be rewarded. I can't go and suppress others. I will die. Xiao Bao, if someone comes up with a better idea, how do you plan to deal with Shu Sai? Li Zun sat beside Zhong Xiaobao and thought of what Zhong Xiaobao had just said. Arrange for him to go out and let him take care of things on his own. Zhong Xiaobao said without thinking. Li Zun didn't understand. Then what about the person who came up with a better idea? Keep him by your side and see if he can be like Shu Sai. If he can, arrange for him to go out. If he can't, just do what you were doing before, Zhong Xiaobao said again. Why? If he can come up with a better idea, won't he be better than Shu Sai? Li Zun asked. There are many good people. As long as you are willing to spend money, you can find them. What the Zhong family wants is not this. What we want is a kind of unity. For the Zhong family, talent is not the most important thing. Knowledge and experience can be cultivated, but character is not. Our family doesn't care about talent. What we want is character. Zhong Xiaobao almost said that he didn't care about talent. He really didn't care. It wasn't like he was making an atomic bomb. It was just a small business. At most, he would do it himself. It was better than finding someone with bad character to worry about it all day. If he had the energy to worry about it, he would rather do it himself. Li Zun couldn't figure out why Zhong Xiaobao would say that. He could only keep it in his heart for the time being. He could slowly think about it himself or ask someone else. The car wasn't slow. It was shaking. Fortunately, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan's willpower was stronger than a scream. They didn't vomit. Li Zun's car was really worse than his. There were some bent pieces of bamboo between the carriage and the axle to act as a buffer. The car shook as it moved. When it was time to eat, they had to look around to see if there were any small wine shops. Li Zun was not like Zhong Xiaobao's father, who carried a bunch of things when he went out. In the past, he might have been able to do so. Now, he felt that he was the best person. Even if there were no wine shops around, he felt that he and Zhong Xiaobao would be able to reach their destination alive. After surviving in the wild, he was now full of confidence. However, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan didn't want to persist like this. The two of them didn't think that surviving in the wild was good. They had already suffered enough. At this time, they were sitting in a roadside shop and eating. There was only one dish, fried with beans and meat. There were a lot of beans and very little meat. When they looked at the plate, they saw that it was all lean meat. This wasn't because the people in the shop knew that the three of them didn't like to eat fatty meat. It was because there was very little fatty meat. Everyone else liked to eat it, so they didn't use it to cook. The food in this shop is good. Look, how is this shredded meat? It's obviously a steak. The medium rare kind. If you don't have the ability to cook, can't you first blanch the meat with water? It's eaten together with beans. Zhong Xiaobao picked up some meat. As soon as it entered his mouth, he spat it out. When he looked carefully, there were still traces of blood in the meat. If it was just fried meat, he would eat it. However, if it was fried together with beans, it would be easy to become laxative after eating it. It was just right for people with indigestion. Wang Huan only picked beans to eat. Fortunately, the beans were cooked. She asked someone to bring her a spoon. She ate with the steamed buns that she didn't know. Li Zun glanced at the meat that Zhong Xiaobao spat out. After thinking for a while, he said, "If I had known, I would have brought my own chef or used their ingredients and kitchen. I think that eating insects is better than eating this meat. Isn't it easy to eat this meat? Shopkeeper, bring me some garlic and some salt." Zhong Xiaobao naturally had a way to deal with it. He waited for the only shopkeeper, waiter, and owner to bring the garlic and salt. Zhong Xiaobao picked up a piece of meat, dipped it in the salt, and stuffed it into his mouth. He also asked for a mouthful of garlic. He ate it very happily. Li Zun also learned. He found that he couldn't eat the fishy taste of the meat, only the saltiness of the salt and the spiciness of the garlic. He said with admiration, "Zhong Xiaobao, I have seen it. You are really not ordinary. You can even eat this thing. Okay, I will remember it. I will eat it like this when I see it next time." Well, there is actually another way. Let them make soup with the vegetables. When we go back and boil it, the meat may be a little bit worse, but it will definitely be cooked. Zhong Xiaobao didn't want to find more trouble. If it wasn't cooked, then eat it. What else could he do? The three of them made do and finished eating. They decided that if they came across this kind of restaurant in the future, they would only order salted vegetables and pancakes. They wouldn't eat anything else. The carriage didn't travel slowly. It only took 6.5 days to reach their destination. If Li Zun wanted to, he could directly enter the manor. That was his home. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan didn't want to see a prince so early. It was difficult to talk to him, so they pretended to be ignorant children. In fact, the other party already knew that the two of them had learned a lot. But if they said too much, then it would cause trouble. If they didn't do well, then there would be many talented people fighting to teach the two of them. The three of them directly walked towards the dock. The river here was not something that the river in Zhuangzi of the Wang family and Zhuangzi of the Ji family could compare to. It was also not something that the small river in front of the Zhong family could compare to. The surging river water was vast and mighty. From time to time, the waves in the river would splash onto the shore. The location of the dock hadn't changed. It was still the location chosen by those people. Those people had good foresight. The ground here was flat, the water was deep enough, and it wasn't as turbulent as it was just now. The general framework of the dock had already been built. Half of it was on the shore, while the other half extended into the river, making it convenient for boats to enter the water. At this time, there were already people making small boats. This was easy to make. As long as the current wasn't too fast and there were some reefs, then it would be unimpeded. Moreover, there were fewer places to enter the water. When there was no sail, the boat's speed would be faster. Li Zun, Zhong Xiaobao, and Wang Huan looked around. As they looked, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan discovered a problem. To be precise, it was the technology. This boat was beautifully made. It was 2 zhong long, 6 feet wide, and about 6 feet tall. This was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that there was not a single nail in the entire place. All of the connections between the pieces of wood were made using the method of riveting. This method was not too unusual, and many of the furniture in the Zhong and Wang families' farmsteads were also made using this method. However, it did not seem to be very reliable when used in shipbuilding. Especially when building boats in the future, if they still used this technology, the advantage was that when the waves hit, the connected parts could borrow the force of each other and disperse the force. There was no need to talk about the disadvantages. If a part was damaged slightly, it was easy for other parts to be damaged as well. Zhong Xiaobao asked a person who was building a boat there, "Master, why don't you use nails here?" "Little guy, you don't know. Nails are easy to rust. When a boat is built, it won't be used for more than a few years. As long as it is hit by water, the place with nails will rot. It won't be used for long." The worker smiled at Zhong Xiaobao. Zhong Xiaobao really didn't know how to build a boat. He turned to Wang Huan and asked, "You really don't use nails on the boat? What about the iron boat?" "The anti-rust technology is different. A layer of paint is applied here. It has a function, but the paint will always fall off. For a boat that is soaked in water all day, the protection is not so good." Wang Huan felt that this should be the reason. Zhong Xiaobao estimated the time when the boat was in use. He found Li Zun and said to him, "When we build a big boat, we will add another layer of nails. It won't be long if the boat is in use. 3 or 4 years is enough. It can't be like building a small boat now. Using nails? Xiaobao, where do you want these big boats to go in the future?" Li Zun was already used to it. He probably found these skilled people. The guard said to the waiter without any trace of politeness. The waiter immediately turned his smiling face and said to the guard, "This big brother, you also saw that the place is full. If your family's young master wants to eat, then please wait here for a while." The guard did not buy it. He stared and said, "Do you know who my family's young master is?" "I don't know. How would this little one know?" "If you remind me, this little one will be very grateful." The waiter's eyes swept around, wanting to find this person's young master so as not to offend him. "Humph. Who is he?" "The young master of this prefecture's king's manor." "Who do you think he is?" The guard coldly snorted and said. The waiter slapped his thigh. "Oh, so it's young Master Li. Look at this little one's memory. Someone had already reserved a place on the 3rd floor. Unfortunately, you can't see this side. It's on the other side. Hurry up. This little one is finished." "I actually forgot about this important matter." Li Zun heard clearly and said to Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan, "How is it? When you heard that this young master is coming, you got a room on the 3rd floor. Although you can't see this side, it's not easy." As he spoke, he stuck out his chest and raised his head. Zhong Xiaobao looked at Li Zun in confusion and asked, "You don't know what's going on with this restaurant?" "Who said that I don't know?" "This year's village tribute, the top 10 people all stayed in this restaurant, including your father. Your father doesn't count, but the other 9 people are here. It's just in time for the release of the results. It's very lively. When people know about this place, they all say that it's a blessed place. Otherwise, why would so many people come here?" Li Zun explained to Zhong Xiaobao. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan understood that all 10 people were here, and they were the top 10. No wonder the business was good. However, Li Zun did not seem to know who owned this restaurant. At this time, the waiter came over and said to Li Zun with a smile, "Young Master Li, the place has been arranged. Would you like to go up now?" "Ian, is there anyone who wants to finish eating here?" Li Zun still wanted to see this place. It was spacious and bright. In reply to young master, "There is no more. The 3rd floor is also empty. It was specially set aside. Fortunately, it was not given to others. Otherwise, if young Master Li had to wait here, my head would be gone." At this time, the waiter lowered his voice, but Li Zun and the other 2 could still hear. "Xiaobao, come with me. This is the benefit of authority," Li Zun said to Zhong Xiaobao. Zhong Xiaobao smiled and took out a small rolled-up flag from his chest. He slowly unfolded it and showed it to the waiter. There were 2 cute seedlings on it. After the little flag was completely unfolded, the waiter's eyes suddenly straightened. He looked at Zhong Xiaobao and then at Wang Huan. He suddenly knelt down and saluted, "Young master, young miss, I didn't expect you two to come here. This little one kowtows to you too." As he spoke, he kowtowed again and again. "Don't, quickly get up. Is there a place upstairs?" Zhong Xiaobao reached out to help him up and asked at the same time. "Yes, young master is here. How can there not be a place? Do you see the room with the closed window on the 3rd floor? It is there. You can see it clearly from here. There is also a staircase in that room that can go up to the roof. If young master is willing to eat on the roof, this little one can send the food up to you." The waiter stood up and pointed to the room with the closed window and said to Zhong Xiaobao very respectfully. Li Zun was stunned. The waiter just said that there was no place. In the blink of an eye, there was a place. He looked at Zhong Xiaobao and just happened to see Zhong Xiaobao's indifferent gaze. He felt his face burning. He will be an official outside the capital and may stay in the capital and scheme against others all day long. Ian, it shouldn't be a problem. Your father has a solid foundation and came here to experience it in advance. Moreover, in these days, he has been writing poems from time to time. He has already practiced it. Wang Huan knew that Zhong Xiaobao was a little nervous, so she softly persuaded him. The two of them chatted as they walked along the road. They wanted to get a good feel of the atmosphere here. As they walked, they arrived at the West Market. At this time, they could see many shops standing on both sides of the road. There were even some foreign merchants hawking their wares. "Xiaobao, look at the things they are selling. There are a lot of different things. When your father is done with the exam tomorrow, let's walk around here and buy some small things back. We can't go out without bringing anything." Wang Huan looked at the people hawking and bargaining and said excitedly, "Ian, we should buy some. We can also give prizes to children who study well. Look over there, they are selling flowers. Some have bloomed, and some are just bare branches. Especially that one, it doesn't look like it's going to bloom at all. That thing. Stop the car." Zhong Xiaobao also said, pointing to a place where flowers were sold in pots. As he spoke, he shouted. The carriage immediately stopped. "Xiaobao, what flower did you see? Why are you in such a hurry?" Wang Huan asked when Zhong Xiaobao pulled her out of the carriage. "Good flower, cotton, I finally found it. I'm convinced. They actually put cotton in a pot. Our quilt is stuffed with cotton. How can it be compared to cotton?" Zhong Xiaobao said happily. With cotton, things would be easier. In the future, there would be more things to do. The convenience of life came from cotton. Wang Huan was also happy. She had been thinking about looking for watermelon and cotton. She didn't expect to see them here. She said, they originally planted cotton as flowers. It seems that it was only in the Song dynasty that it had other uses. This thing doesn't seem to be called cotton. What is it called? Just ask and you will know. Flower seller, how much are you selling these flowers? Zhong Xiaobao stood in front of the cotton that was about the same height as him and asked. "Young master, are you asking about the white foldsy? If you only want to buy flowers, you can take 2 coins and I will also give you some mountain soil. If you want to buy it together with the pot, then it will be 12 coins. The flower seller turned his head and saw 2 children. He lowered his voice and said so as not to scare them. Zhong Xiaobao looked at Wang Huan. Wang Huan was also thinking and said, "Flower seller, where did you find the white foldsy? We want to buy more. Can you still get it?" "Yes, no matter how much you want to buy, I will find it for you. The price is even cheaper. But, will your parents agree?" The flower seller felt that a big deal was coming, but he was afraid that the 2 children were just talking and couldn't take out the money. Zhong Xiaobao calculated and said, "We want to buy 10,000 plants. How much do you think it will be?" While talking, he gave a look to the steward who got off another car and walked over. The steward immediately said, "Flower seller, don't worry about the money. As long as the young master and the young lady want to buy it, we will naturally give you 1 coin less." With his words, the flower seller was relieved and showed a slightly embarrassed expression on his face. "If you want to buy 10,000 plants, we will have to wait a few days. If I can't find so many today, I will have to go to other people to get them. It may be possible if several families work together. If you want to buy these, why don't you give me 17,000 coins? 15,000 coins. Okay, we will pay the deposit first." Zhong Xiaobao made a counteroffer. He could have lowered the price, but he felt that the flower seller didn't have it easy, so he gave a little more. The flower seller paused for a moment and immediately agreed. As for how to transport it, it was the steward's business. After finding the cotton and ordering 10,000 plants, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan happily got in the car again and went to Joy House. "Xiaobao, the cotton is here. Where do we plant it?" "We can't plant it in the field. If someone reports it, we will be punished." With the cotton, Wang Huan began to worry about the planting again. "Plant it in Grandpa Bai's field. He hasn't planted anything yet. It turned out to be a wasteland. No one will say anything." Zhong Xiaobao thought of the old man's field, which was just right. "Okay, when we make the bedding, give it to him first," Wang Huan said generously. As expected, no one told Zhong that Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan had come to the capital. The servants knew that if the master knew that the young master and young lady had come, he wouldn't be so calm. Maybe he would be absent-minded during the exam. At this time, Zhong was eating a simple and light meal. There was also a pot of warm wine. He was not going to see anyone today. A few days ago, he had seen the people he wanted to see and sent the invitations. He was just waiting to see how things would go after the exam. County Magistrate Cheng sat opposite him and explained what to do during the exam. County Magistrate Cheng had not taken the Jinsha exam, but he had taken other exams and knew some things about the Jinsha exam. Zhong listened carefully to County Magistrate Cheng's words. The two of them ate for a full 4 hours. When the dishes were cold, they were taken away and replaced with new ones. The wine was also kept warm at all times. In the afternoon, Zhong read for a while and then went to bed early. He still had to wake up early tomorrow. The servants began to prepare the things for tomorrow. They prepared 3 sets of the 4 treasures of the study, some food and some things that might be useful. Early the next morning, countless high scholars were accompanied by their servants. Some of them were alone and some of them were outside the examination hall prepared by the Ministry of Rites. Zhong brought a few servants with him. When he saw so many people waiting in front of him, he took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. He calmed himself down and walked over. There were soldiers maintaining order over there. Many people were not sure and were whispering to each other. Some people even closed their eyes. After Zhong came to the capital, he had met many people. As he walked, he was greeted by many people. Those who were taking the Jinsha exam, those who were taking the Jinsha exam, those who were taking the Jinsha exam. They gathered together to guess what the exam would be. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan also secretly came over and watched from afar. The servants around them surrounded them so that they wouldn't get lost in the crowd. When it was time for the exam, a few officials came over and talked about the things that they should pay attention to during the exam. They also asked the soldiers to check the things that the high scholars brought. As for the body search, they did not appear. These people also began to enter one by one. Zhong Xiaobao clenched his fists and muttered, "Dad, don't be afraid. You can do it." "Xiaobao, why are you trembling? You said that others are not afraid. Look at you being so nervous." Wang Huan grabbed Zhong Xiaobao's arm and said. Chapter 302. The entrance exam was only 1 day long. As for the other subjects, it would depend on the results of the exam. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan waited for their father to enter the examination hall. They brought their servants along with them and prepared to wait here for a day. If they want to eat, they would need someone to send them food. Zhong entered the examination hall and looked at the things he brought. The weather was still cold, so he took out a blanket and put it under his butt. He also took out the smokeless charcoal and lit it in the brazier. Only then did he start to answer the questions. Everyone else also did the same. Only the poor scholars did not have so many things. The soldiers patrolled from time to time. There were people who dared to bring their notes. They were caught and thrown out. It would be difficult for them to make a name for themselves in the future. Zhong felt that he had learned enough and did not prepare any notes. Furthermore, he was unable to prepare any notes. This time, the examination was about poetry, prose, scripture, and Lao's essay. First, he wrote the essay. Zhong's father finished writing the essay in the morning. When it was time for lunch, the smell of various dishes floated in the examination hall. The poor scholars only drank some water and ate some dry food. The rich people naturally served all kinds of delicacies. Zhong's father opened his lunchbox. There were not many dishes in it. There were only some small steamed buns and garlic sauce. It seemed that the servants prepared for him to eat this. There was also a tightly wrapped bamboo tube with soup on top. The steamed buns were still warm. Seeing that there were only these two things, Zhong did not complain. He picked up the steamed buns and ate them. This kind of steamed buns were not sold outside. Only his family often made them. The stuffing inside the steamed buns was frozen before it was wrapped. When it was time to eat, there would be juice inside. He quickly finished the steamed buns and drank the soup. He leaned back and began to rest. After he finished writing the poems and prose, he would wait for the results. Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan also ate steamed buns outside. The rest of the servants also did the same. There were also people who came from other families. The entire area outside was almost full. Everyone looked at the entrance of the examination hall anxiously from time to time. When the sky gradually darkened, Zhong's figure finally appeared at the entrance of the examination hall. He carried the things he brought in. When he went out, he was stunned. "Dad, you're finally out. Quick, let's go back and celebrate. When the results are released, we'll go back and become officials with real power." Xiaobao pulled Wang Huan and ran over from the other side. He immediately threw himself into his father's arms and said happily. Zhong touched his son's head and said, "Why are you here? Does your mother know? I missed you, so I came over. My mother should know by now. Originally, she only knew that we went to Zhouzhong. Father, don't talk about it anymore. Let's go back. We only had some buns for lunch. We'll eat something good when we get back." Zhong Xiaobao held his father's hand and walked back. A servant came over to take the things. Along the way, Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Huan kept talking to Zhong about what they saw. Zhong was originally a little worried that he would not do well in the examination this time. After listening to his son and daughter-in-law's words, his mood gradually calmed down. He did not expect to meet the person he wanted to meet right after the examination in Beijing. The three of them talked as they walked. This time, they directly went to Savant's restaurant. A table full of dishes was placed on the table. Zhong Xiaobao poured wine for his father and began to change the topic. He did not mention the imperial examination anymore. Zhong was also happy to chat with his son and daughter-in-law. He talked about the scenery here and talked about what the foreign merchants were selling. After eating for more than 2 hours, the sky was completely dark. Only then did the three of them drink some tea and go back to sleep. The next few days were waiting for the results to be released. Zhong Xiaobao did not have much to do. He dragged Wang Huan to the east and west markets all day long and bought a lot of small things. Those cotton balls had already been sent back home and the bottom was covered with mud. When the time came, as long as one could survive, he would buy another one. After all, it was cheap. This wait lasted for more than 10 days. Seeing that a new round of official appointments was about to be released, it was finally time to release the results. Early in the morning, there were servants who went to watch. Zhong Xiaobao, Wang Huan, and Zhong Zhong also went to the nearest small restaurant. It was a place where ordinary people ate. It was also bought in the beginning. At this time, it was already full of people. Only a seat by the window was left for them. Father, I have already thought about it. When you become the top scorer, we will not be an official in Beijing. Instead, we will be in Hua Yuan County. After you experience there for a few years, we will return to Beijing. Don't worry, you will definitely have achievements. Every year, during the selection, you will be in the upper middle class. You will not even be in the middle class. Zhong Xiaobao and the other two sat down. Zhong Xiaobao began to talk to his father. Zhong Zhong was still a little nervous. He did not know if he would become the top scorer. He did not expect to become the top scorer. As long as he could become the Jinsha, it would be fine. When he heard his son's words, he felt that his greatest ability in life was to have a good son.